Hey everyone, and welcome to SIFTD's Game of the Year Awards for 2023. We told you guys before the year started that it was going to be one of the best years in gaming ever, and as it turns out, we were right, Matt. Mm-hmm. It literally, where would you place 2023 actually in the Pantheon? Do you think it is the best year ever?
It's up there. I mean, it's top three. It's like this 2007, I think, or 1998. Like those are your top.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I think this is it.
It's up. I go back and forth, but like there's in terms of volume, there's nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
Part of the issue is like a lot of the stuff that was the biggest stuff ended up not really clicking for me in the way I hoped it would. Mm-hmm. I could give you a lot of most disappointing game.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem coming up with those.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But and just in terms of volume and like in terms of potential. Like there's never been a year like this. Just from January to the end of the year, there's always some kind of thing that's like worth looking at. That's never. I don't remember the last. I mean, you're talking about like 98 was amazing because you got Half-Life and Metal Gear Solid 1 and Ocarina. Like those both all came out in the space of 2 weeks.
I know that's the crazy part.
What about the rest of 1998?
Right.
What do you remember from that?
Yeah.
So in terms of like a full year, amazing.
Because the other thing we're going to do at the end of our awards is we're going to go and look at some of the really amazing games that came out this year that did not get recognized in any way in our awards because there's not enough awards to go around to recognize all the amazing games from 2023. It has truly been incredible. We have 25 different categories today. We did cut sports. We did not include VR for the second year in a row. You going to miss that?
No, I mean, I didn't. There's some things I liked on PSVR 2, but nothing that I really felt the need to.
Having spent time with it when you loaned it to me, there was nothing there that I felt like recognizing.
Like I liked the Horizon game. I liked playing GT and VR. It's nice.
Yeah.
But like nothing that was like amazing. Nothing I felt strongly enough that we should bring the category back.
Yep, me too.
And I don't have a Meta Oculus or anything.
Right.
So maybe there's stuff on there that we missed.
Well, Asgard's Wrath just launched today. IGN gave that game a perfect 10. Asgard's Wrath 2, which is like supposed to be the big flagship launch game for MetaQuest 3. Although Quest 3 did come out before it, but it's getting sky-high review scores. So that's something to keep an eye on. But Matt and I just didn't play enough VR games, so that's not included. And there just weren't any good sports games. Like I played all the sports games this year. I couldn't think of a single one that really left a positive impression on me. And so we cut that as well. But still, we have 25 different categories today. I think this show is going to be awesome. If you have not watched one of our award shows before, we show every game that we give an award to. You're going to see B-roll of each one. There are some games that we're going to recognize that you guys may not remember from the year, things like that, or some stuff that was from earlier in the year that may have just completely been released from your mind at this point. We're going to definitely bring back some memories and some nostalgia from earlier in 2023 because there was a lot of great games at the beginning of the year that I think a lot of people just kind of forgot over time. So anyway, as I said, we do have 25 different categories. We got a lot to get to today, so we don't want to spend too much time. One thing I do want to mention before we get going, though, I've been talking about how we have a QR code for you guys where you can buy us a beer for the holidays or whatever. Just so you know, some people had complained that they needed to be a registered user of SIFTD in order to use the QR code. We have fixed that. Now you don't have to be a registered user at all. Anybody can use the QR code that's on the screen right now and go to our donation page and you can give us $1, $1 billion, whatever you want to. It works in 130 different countries. You can use PayPal, you can use a credit card. Again, I know a lot of people watch the show on YouTube or listen to it on podcast services and don't want to get involved with Patreon or getting involved with any new subscription service and just want to give us a chunk to say thank you for 2023. That's the best place to do it. If you're listening to the show and you can't see the QR code, just go to siftd.net/donate, and that is the URL where you can find all that. And we'd really, really appreciate it. Obviously, we just did GameFace, and I literally verbally shared every single person who had given us a beer donation. A bunch of you guys have done it. We really appreciate it. It makes a big difference, particularly right now when we're heading into the holidays and everyone has that big cash outlay to buy gifts and travel and all that awesome stuff. So anyway, there you go.
Sure F did just list the 2007 games. I think 2007 still clears.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think 2007 still.
Well, let's take a look. We'll bring it up on screen right now. Let's see what
Mario
we got.
Galaxy, COD 4, Bioshock, Uncharted 1, Halo 3, Mass Effect, Portal, Orange Box, Crysis, Rock Band, Assassin's Creed 1, Witcher 1, Stalker, God of War 2, Ratchet and Clank Future. Like that's
That's pretty good.
That's amazing. Like that's more stuff I really, really, really liked than stuff I really, really, really liked this year, I think.
I also will give a nod to the earlier years because they're breaking ground then. Like they're figuring out.
Every single there's like half of the things he listed are things that like everyone just rips off now.
Yeah.
Like
still ripping off. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say that.
Stranglehold, Heavenly Sword, Kane and Lynch, Puzzle Quest. Like, there's... 2007 was no joke.
Yep. Don Lionheart, thank you for Twitch Prime, man. Thanks to everybody who's doing that, by the way.
Like, there's an argument... In hindsight, there's an argument that 2007 is kind of like where, like, the gaming became what gaming was going to become.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Talica 1981, thank you for Twitch Prime as well. Vincent asks, do you combine sports and racing? No, we haven't done that. Because we didn't need to combine it because there was not a single sports game worth recognizing.
Yeah. Maybe we combine VR and sports.
Yeah.
VR and sports and racing.
Just a catch-all category.
Although, to be honest, like, I might give GT7 that.
Yeah.
Like, if you combine VR and sports and racing, like, okay, the VR mode in Gran Turismo 7.
Right.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
If you can do it without throwing up.
Oh, yeah, which I cannot.
Yeah.
Don Lionheart, thank you for the bits. Pharaoh Doll, thank you for gifting tier 1 subs. That's awesome. Thanks for the bits, everybody. Out of Baldy's Way, thank you as well. All this stuff makes a difference, and we appreciate it very, very much. And with that, Matt, I think it's time. I think it's time for us to get on with our Game of the Year awards for 2023. We're going to kick things off with Best First-Person Shooter, Matt's favorite category every year.
Oh, yeah. that category that also makes me go, did I play any of this?
Yeah, exactly. Did you play like any first-person game some years? It's a question. Like, it doesn't always happen.
I mean, I played first-person games, but nothing that I would really count as a shooter.
Yeah.
Starfield is not a...
Right. Although it is,
I mean, it is, but like...
but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how that works. Time Zemi, thank you for Twitch Prime as well. You're getting in there just as we get things going. Okay, so Best First-Person Shooter is our first category. One thing I should mention is most of the early categories, like the genre categories, we're just going to have a winner. We're not going to have a runner-up or whatever. As we get into the bigger categories at the end of our awards, for like a handful of them, we'll have a runner-up and a winner. But for this, Best Person Shooter, we just have a winner. And Matt, what is your winner?
RoboCop Rogue City.
RoboCop Rogue City. Not surprised by this one at all.
One of two actual real first-person shooters.
I was about to ask, how many did you play?
It was either this or Immortals of Avium.
Yeah.
And I didn't dislike Immortals of Avium.
I mean, that's actually kind of a tough call, really, between those two games.
RoboCop got it just because I think it captures this IP I like so much, and I was so... like unexpectedly happy with it.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh wow.
Well, I mean, it's also in your wheelhouse. It's in my wheelhouse too, obviously, but yeah. This was, I don't want to ruin too much of our awards later on, but this also is going to be nominated for another award later on.
Yeah, you'll see this one later.
Yeah.
For something rather predictable.
Yeah, this isn't a one and done type deal for RoboCop. What
Definitely
was it?
Best driving game.
What did you say?
Yeah.
Best sports game.
Yes.
I thought this game was also great. I really enjoyed the time that I spent with it as well. Way more than I thought I would.
And if you're judging it by straight shooter mechanics, maybe it's not amazing, but it is RoboCop.
But see, I like that it's different like that, Matt. Like, this was one of those games where you just felt invincible. Like, you weren't worried about getting behind cover or, like, sprinting out of the way or dodging. Like, this is
I certainly was later on.
Yeah.
Like when they start using rockets.
Right. But, well, you just shoot the rockets then. Like, it's a different way to play. Like,
Being able to grab things and throw them. And like, it plays with the physics way more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
And like, because like when you see the initial video, it looks like you're just shooting guys. And like, that's it. And it's like, okay, you're just going to be invincible and blowing guys up. But
it starts that way.
You can get pretty creative, though. And by the end of a fight, like, sometimes the room is just completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Like the destruction is very satisfying.
Well, the funny part is when you start playing this, you don't realize how big a deal the destruction is.
Yeah.
Because you don't need it that much. But as it starts to get more difficult, you have to start really using all the elements that they give you.
Sometimes it just like the discovery of that is fun, where you're like, oh, I thought there were guys up on the catwalk.
Yeah.
And you get up there and it's like, oh, when I shot those guys, it dropped this thing, and then the car exploded, and it like set something off up there, and they died because the canisters blew them up.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I do enjoy the touch of sometimes And sometimes it's awful because they'll die physics-wise, and then they'll reset the character to like do the flip over the railing.
Oh, right,
like,
yeah.
They'll like fall over and then get back up and fall over the railing like it's a cowboy movie. Yeah. But I appreciate that they're trying to make it all dramatic. Like,
yeah.
Like I really like what this team was after, and I think they mostly nailed it.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, I thought this game was going to be a joke. When I first saw it, I literally laughed at it.
Every other RoboCop game is. Like, there's no reason not to think that.
Yeah.
And even to the point, I mean, when they first announced this, I was like, you're making a RoboCop game in 2020?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? And it's like... But no, it's great.
As it turns out, even the young kids who don't know RoboCop very well enjoyed playing this game.
Yeah,
that shows you when you've done
and especially in the ACAB era, where it's just like getting anyone to play as it. But it's like it is actually they remember what this franchise is. They remember what Cyberpunk is, and even though he's obviously a cop, they are basically rogue cops in the system because it's the anti-corporate thing that was so prevalent in the old movies, and it's like. And it all really works. Yeah. Like the tone's right, the satire's there, the weird sort of like inevitable nihilism is there. Like it's very true to the property in a way that I don't think I've really seen many other RoboCop things. Not just video games. Like
I mean, let's be honest. Not just RoboCop. A lot of the '80s licensed stuff. Like it just isn't handled very well usually.
No. And these guys have done that. Hit it out of the park with this, and done pretty well with that Terminator Retaliation game too.
Yeah, that's true.
So I hope they get noticed and people start bringing some old IPs to them to revitalize, because I'm sitting there thinking like, man, maybe these are the people that give us that great Aliens shooter.
It's a studio to watch for sure.
Like there's a lot of potential here.
Yep, absolutely. You guys may be surprised at my pick for best first-person shooter, because I know you guys all assume I'm just going to give it to Call of Duty every year. However, that is not the case. My pick for the best first-person shooter of 2023 is The Finals. If you guys remember, we covered this about a month and a half ago. I was in the beta, played the beta, and I had a blast with it. And as you guys know, I am always a gameplay first guy. Not a huge fan of the gameplay in this year's Call of Duty. It wasn't terrible, but I wasn't a big fan of it. This is a whole different story. This game changes the way multiplayer first-person shooters are played. If you remember when I talked about it a couple months ago, I was explaining how you can use the environment in the game and the explosives in the game to do things that you've never done before. So how the game works is it's not team deathmatch where one team kills more than the other team and you win. You basically collect these things and you take them to these machines where you have to cash them in. And that's where everything changes. So there's these machines where you have to deposit the things to get the points. And what people do in this game is they'll put a blast charge on the floor, the ceiling for them, but the floor for you, and will blow the floor out underneath you and drop the machine down and kill you. Not only that, they have these other power-ups that are like these almost like inflatable, like goo things where you can like protect. I've never played a first-person shooter like it. It's now out there. It's a free-to-play game. You guys can all download it and play it right now. This left a huge impression on me. I had a ton of fun playing it. It made me think about first-person, particularly multiplayer first-person shooters, in an entirely different light. I cannot remember the last time a video game did that for me. So, also, it's technically proficient, as you can see by the B-roll. It's a good-looking game. Maybe a little heavy on the in-game branding at times.
I don't like that they use AI for the voice acting.
Yeah, and that's a little slimy.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's too expensive. Well, then why was it in your design doc?
Right.
If you can't afford it, what's it doing?
Yeah, why is it in there? You're right. You're poor at budgeting for your game.
That is more and more going to be a problem.
It is going to be, yep. But when the rubber hits the road with this game, the gunplay feels great. The weapons are awesome and over the top. It's entirely unpredictable. Stuff just kept happening in this game that I didn't expect. I can't remember the last time something like that happened in, say, a Call of Duty match. So I had a ton of fun with the Finals. I think it's a great first-person shooter. It is free to play. Go out, get it, download it, have fun. I know you won't be disappointed.
I think my only main reaction to the first time I saw that game was like, it's too much yellow.
Yeah, it's like it's color or whatever.
Yeah, that's a bad call.
It's a little odd. Yeah, the art style, the overabundance of in-game logos, it's like the world is built out of the logo.
And it's a weird thing because I really like the destruction thing. That was my favorite part of the old Bad Companies, where at the end of the match, you start with all these buildings, and at the end it's just this flat ground.
Yeah.
Rubble. Yeah. That was great because it completely changed how you defended the point. It changed how you attacked the point. It's like whoever had the mortars had the advantage, and then it was great. And they never really did that again.
Yeah. There was one time in this game where I was waiting for my thing to capture because it takes a little while. So I started the capture and I backed up and was in like a little closet, like off of the main room where the capture thing is. And some dude on the floor below me blew the floor out at an angle. So when it collapsed and I looked down, I looked through the hole and I could see him and his gun was pointed up and he shot me right in the face. Like, that's the type of stuff that happens in the finals. Give it a try. Again, it's free. I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you like first-person shooters, I think you'll have a blast with it. Next up, kind of a similar entry, best multiplayer game. A lot of times there's crossover between best first-person shooter and best multiplayer, and that's why these two categories are stacked together. However, this year, that's not really turned out to be the case.
No.
You and I both picked the same game for the best multiplayer game of 2023.
Which might be the first time that's ever happened.
I think it might be. Well, maybe if we go back to the last game in the franchise.
Yeah, true. Actually, no, I wouldn't have picked the last game.
Oh, you're right, because it launched
like crap.
You're right. And you guys have probably figured out by now that game is Street Fighter 6. This was an easy one for me.
Yeah.
This is because just the numbers. I spent more time playing this in multiplayer than any other game that I played this year. As far as number of hours logged, playing against other human beings, this was the top for me, and obviously that happens for a reason. Fighting games, I feel like, for people like us, are always going to have a leg up on the competition in our Game of the Year awards because we're old and we're nostalgic for fighting games where we come from that arcade culture. I think that's what I liked about this multiplayer the most, Matt, is that it captured the arcade culture. You're literally in an arcade, and you're just walking around the machines, like trying to find people to play against.
Yeah, they do a good job of capturing the "I got next" feeling, without like making it an obstacle to playing quickly.
Yeah, and then just once you play, Street Fighter 6 is an amazing game to play. Very well balanced. I felt like every match I learned something and got a little better.
Yeah. And they've kept the season stuff going, and they've had, the Ninja Turtles tie-in was really cool. Like they've kept it like vibrant, even post-launch. So Capcom really turned things around with how they went about this
at launch in particular, because as you mentioned, the last Street Fighter at launch was kind of a disaster.
Yeah, absolutely, and eventually got good. But by the end of things, Street Fighter V was a very solid online game.
Of course.
But like it was nice to see Capcom took those lessons, and we're like, we can't let that happen again, and they didn't,
and gave us a legitimate single player campaign as well.
Goofball, but fun.
Goofy. Yeah. I mean, what would you expect though?
Yeah,
that's what I expected from Street Fighter. I didn't expect some serious story about.
Yeah, I don't want them to attempt a Mortal Kombat with this one.
No. I like the two franchises the way they are. They're different enough that they're refreshing to play each one.
Yeah,
and obviously, Mortal Kombat 1 was a game that I considered here. Call of Duty was a game I considered here. The Finals is a game I considered here.
It just nothing quite. There was something special about how the Battle Hub presents things.
Yep.
And there's other fighting games that do that. Like a lot of the Guilty Gears and Blaze Blues have had similar things, but I don't think it's ever been done to the level of production value that this one does, and it all works.
Yeah.
It was.
There's so much new stuff in this compared to other Street Fighters too. Yeah. I mean, just the whole open world, the little areas that you can run around in, the story, all the cosmetics that we're seeing right now. That's obviously been kind of a part of Street Fighter, but
and you can have all that in the online, run around the arcade with your custom character, looking however you want them to look. Yeah. Run down in the middle of the thing, and just have a little fight with people in the middle of the thing, and everybody can watch. It's great.
It's great. Yeah, really, really good fighting game. A great year for fighting games in general, without a doubt. So, our winner for the best multiplayer game of 2023, Street Fighter 6. Next up, the category that feels like it's going to go away sometimes, but then it never does. It just hangs around.
Not in the wake of that Walking Dead game.
No.
People forget that this genre was essentially dead for 10, 15 years.
Until The Walking Dead, basically, flipped it on its head.
Every once in a while, you get a BSOCAL game.
Yeah.
And you're just and that I'd have to, it's here, you do the point and click thing. No one else knows how to play them. I was all right.
But now they're really a vibrant part of the industry again. They're just as prevalent as a lot of
great. They were some of my favorites in the 90s, both because I thought they were all the LucasArts stuff and Dark Seed and the Sierra stuff and all the weird Myst ripoffs. I loved all those things. In part because I just thought they were interesting and I liked doing the puzzles, but also because in the 90s I never had a girlfriend who didn't want to play Myst-like games together.
Well, everybody wanted to play Myst-like games.
Everybody loved Myst.
Yeah.
And Snood.
I don't remember that one, actually.
Snood was I think that might have been Mac only, but Snood was a Puzzle Bobble ripoff.
Oh, I don't remember that game at all.
It was a shareware, like, but everybody seems to know it for some reason. I had my friend Tiff, she'd come over to my dorm room specifically to play Snood, and that was it. Like I would leave her in my room when I went to go to class, because she's like, just playing Snood. I'm like, I'll see you in an hour.
That's cool. But to Matt's point, in the last 10 years, the genre has been revived, and it's great to see millennials and Gen Z enjoying the adventure genre, because it really was going to take them picking that up, or it might have gone away and become very obscure. So kudos, guys. Thank you for picking up the mantle so that we still have this awesome genre to play with. So Matt, what is your pick for the best adventure game of 2023?
Talos Principle 2.
Yep. No recency bias here, Matt?
I don't think so. I mean,
you just played this one.
Yeah, I like the first one a lot, too. Mm-hmm. I was trying to think of other things that really competed with it this year for me, and there wasn't really anything.
Yeah. It was kind of a bad year for adventure games, actually.
Yeah, I mean, not pure ones. Yeah, there was The Invincible was. I thought
we just covered that as well not long ago.
And there was also Invincible, the Adam and Eve story, which was pretty good. But this one, I really like this one. I thought it took 9 years for them to make it, but it feels like 9 years went into it.
It does.
That's the thing. It's gigantic. It's multiple times larger than the original game. It's got a way more involved story. There's way more to do. There's way more people. There's actually people to talk to beyond the three, I think, that were in the first game.
Well, I think what struck me the most was the story.
Yeah, there's a lot of world building. The story is very strong. The character work is very strong. You get to know all these robots that all basically look the same except they're different colors, but you know who they are by the an hour or two in. You get involved in the robot city politics, and there's everybody's making social media commentary about all the puzzles you're solving and what you're seeing and stuff. It's great, and there's a big mystery to solve, and you're not quite sure what's happening there. So there's kind of an ancient aliens thing, but the ancient aliens might be humans or they might be other robots. You don't know what any of this is until you get much further in the game.
What eventually made me stop playing this was its difficulty.
It does get very difficult. Like by the fourth or fifth biome, it's this is beyond my.
Yeah, I knew I could solve
I got to be in
the
mood to sit down and do it.
Right, and I found myself not in the mood a couple times in a row, and then it just.
And you got other things to play for the show,
and it fell by the wayside.
And same with me, but I'll go back to it when I can. Hopefully during the break and stuff, and it is a thing where it's these are taking me 20 minutes to solve now, and you got to solve 8 of them to finish the area, and there's 3 more areas. I'm maybe I'll just play Avatar again.
Yep. I'm gonna go hunt some weird deer with my bow.
This was great, and it's beautiful. It's this is much like Street Fighter 6. This is how you do a sequel.
This is also a great trailer, by the way. I should add.
And there's a lot of good cat stuff in it. I love the robots. Love cats.
Yep.
The cat memorial is the saddest thing in any game this year.
That's not a category in today's awards, by the way. Saddest moment.
Saddest moment would not be.
That actually isn't a bad idea for a fun category. Yeah. But we don't get enough of those, I would argue, in gaming.
No. That would be if you really want to do the game awards and not I think people would be less irritated if you only got 30 seconds to talk about winning best sad moment.
Right. They'd be okay, play the music.
Because I will say, I don't know if you saw the Larian guys. Here's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You imagine if that fucking show had ended with that speech.
I know. Yeah.
There's your fucking viral moment, Jeff.
Yeah.
Don't cut these people off.
Yeah.
This is real stuff.
I mean, if he was serious, he probably should have asked them for the acceptance speech and read it and been holy crap.
Yeah.
We need to run this.
That's not a bad idea. Have everybody, at least game of the year, screen their acceptance speeches.
Yeah, and not for content, not to be don't put that in there.
No. Just to know how long they intend to talk so you can balance the show. If obviously they know the winners ahead of time.
Yeah.
The winners don't know, but Jeff knows, so they can balance the show time to give that room.
Yeah, for all they know, Larry and it's be they asked everybody for just in case.
Right.
Yeah, it could work. So that's a good pick. However, I did pick a different game, one that I knew you wouldn't pick because you already told me it didn't resonate with you, and my pick for Adventure Game of the Year for 2023 is Cocoon. Some people may look at this game and be really? Is that an adventure game? It is.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, there's no action in the game at all.
As much as Talos Principle is.
Right. It's simple movement and puzzle solving, and that's all there is to it. I really resonated with the tone of this game and the way the puzzles worked in the game. It's one of those games where you first start playing it and you're like, what is this game asking me to do? And it does a great job all on its own of organically showing you exactly what you need to do. I never got stuck in this game because I didn't know what to do. It was trying to figure out how to use all the elements that they were giving me to solve the puzzles is what would stump me. And that, to me, is good puzzle design. So I had a blast with this game. Is this only on Xbox still right now?
No, I played it on PC.
Oh, you did?
So.
Okay. So it is multi-platform. But it is like, it's one of those games, there's no voice acting, there's not a whole lot of plot. Like, you kind of have to figure out what's going on just by how your character interacts with the other characters in the game. There's kind of a duality of worlds element coming into play here, which is something that I feel like is kind of starting to be overused a little bit. I feel like a lot of people have been like, okay, we have these SSDs. What can we do with them? Oh, we can do dual worlds. I feel like that's what everybody is using the SSDs for now, like being able to warp to another world really quickly.
I mean, that's one of the first things you're going to think of when you realize you can load that much into memory that fast.
And they don't really use that trick per se in Cocoon, but it does have those similar gameplay elements.
Jumping in and out of the orbs is basically doing that. Like it's sort of like Ratchet and Clank, where it's like it's a cool trick and it is used for a purpose. So it works. Yeah. It just for whatever reason, it just didn't quite click with me. I don't know what it was. It just left me a little cold.
It is a cold game.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's not a heartfelt. I mean, it kind of becomes that way eventually. But at the beginning of the game, it's just like you don't know what's going on. Why am I controlling this beetle? What? Everything is very weird and odd.
Where's
about
John
this.
And Ringo. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Exactly. But I would argue too, like if you play this game and you play it for the first like 20 minutes, like you do have to give it a little bit more time than that. And I could see where maybe somebody picked this up and they're like, I don't really like this. This isn't for me. But I think if you
gotta let the puzzles evolve. But I don't know. It didn't really hold my attention past like the third or fourth boss.
Yeah.
Cool what they're doing, cool ideas, but it's like
also the boss fights where you don't actually fight the bosses.
Yeah, like they're clever.
Really creative and clever. Yeah.
But like it's like this must be what the people who bounce off Disco Elysium feel like.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this game feels like it was made for me, but like some people are just not going to get it.
Yeah.
And like that's sort of how I felt on the other side of that for Cocoon.
Yeah. It's been getting some awards other places, but
yeah, I mean, I have told people to play it because
some people will really like it.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's my game that wins Adventure Game of the Year for 2023. It's Cocoon.
The other one I was thinking about, and it didn't really have a shot against Talos Principle, but let's say Talos Principle 2 didn't come out, I probably would have given it to Venba.
I really liked Venba. Remember when I talked about it on the show? Did you go back and play it then?
Yeah, I played it after you talked. Okay. I didn't know it existed.
And you ended up enjoying it as well? Yeah. That
did have heart to it.
That struck me in the feels. Yeah, that game did, for sure. So that imaginary category of game that made me sad, Venba is one of those games for sure. But the game part of it is where I was unable to give it an award because there wasn't much game to it.
That's true.
That
is a pitfall of the genre sometimes.
And that's the fuzzy line that you're dealing with the adventure genre is like, is there gameplay or is it just a visual novel? And I'm a gameplay guy, so I tend to gravitate towards the ones that have a little bit more interaction. But I did love Venba, for sure. Also, Goodbye Volcano High was probably another one that's bouncing around in my mind a little bit, but ultimately I settled on
And I never did get around to Oxenfree 2.
I did.
Yeah, I know you did.
And I considered it, but I didn't think it was as good as the first one, honestly. I was kind of disappointed by it. So, for me, it was Cocoon. But I guess now that we're talking about it, not a terrible year for the adventure genre.
No,
there are some good ones.
It was all right.
Yeah, I think it was okay. Next up, Best RPG, Best Role-Playing Game. This is always kind of a splitting hairs category because we have, like, action RPGs. And some people want to say they are RPGs. Some people say they don't. It's like, what's the line? I agree with you in that when I go to give awards for this category, I try to lean towards the game that focuses on the actual role playing and that just doesn't have RPG elements to it. So I will give a nod to the games that focus a little bit more, to be honest with you, on kind of the traditional D&D environment that I come from.
At this point, you're kind of in this thing where it's like, okay, just because you put hit points and leveling in a game, RPG elements are everywhere now. RPG elements are in Call of Duty multiplayer.
Yeah, they're everywhere now. It really is crazy. Yeah. Yep. Everything's got a meter now that you're filling up constantly. to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And with all that in mind, Matt, what is your pick for the best RPG of 2023?
I had to go with Starfield.
Starfield.
Because while Starfield is mechanically deficient in a number of ways, and I've talked about how, once you get past the initial rush of it, you're like, oh, space doesn't really matter.
No.
So, but like, I played this game for 150 hours.
Yeah.
Which is more time than I played Baldur's Gate 3 and like any other RPG this year combined.
Wow.
So
wow, that's amazing.
And so like I must have liked it.
Yeah.
Right? And I haven't gone back to it for much because it's just too much to do. Because I know if I get back into it, I'm gonna get sucked into it, and I won't do anything else. Like, I'm gonna like not play the things I need to play to talk about on the show, basically. It's kind of good I had COVID when this came out.
No, right. You're always going to remember that about Starfield.
So there's a little bit of negative attached to it because of that, but also it's like the only time in years I've been like, okay, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
I can't go out. I can't see anyone. I can't go do it. I have nothing. The most responsible thing I can do right now is to sit here and do nothing but play this game for 4 days.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah. I do think that the role-playing elements in this game are strong.
They are.
Yeah.
They're trying. My only downside on it is like I think the role-playing elements, they played them up more than they have probably in any other RPGs. Mm-hmm. But I didn't like many of the characters in it.
Yeah, I'll admit I didn't either, really.
Like I don't like the companions in this game.
Yeah.
I don't. Sam, I like just because he's sort of a cowboy.
Yeah.
But he keeps dragging this fucking kid on the ship.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, dude, like if I bought a bigger ship at one point just to hope that kid went somewhere else so I didn't have to hear her talk the whole time I was flying the ship. Because there's like things where you're like, I'm in a fucking dogfight, and she's like, Dad, let me tell you this knock knock joke. I'm like, let me tell you the joke about throwing you out the airlock.
The air portal.
But yeah, I enjoy the exploration. I like scanning the planets. It did deliver that kind of more realistic exploration vibe for me as it compared to like No Man's Sky.
Scanning.
Yeah, scanning's great. And I had a good time with it.
I did too. I had a lot of fun with Starfield. I only played it for like 50 hours, so
like,
I drew the line somewhere.
Like,
Kyle.
do I think it's mechanically better than like Baldur's Gate 3? No.
Yeah.
But like I liked it more.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's your RPG.
I'm not calling it a better game than Baldur's Gate 3 necessarily, but I bounced off enough of Baldur's Gate 3, and I did not bounce off nearly as much of this.
Or at all. 150 hours.
There's
not much bouncing off at 150 hours.
I bounced off the space combat.
Yeah.
It was not...
I just stopped caring about it after a while.
Yeah, well, it just became... I mean, the people who say it's just... After a while, it just becomes a fast travel map, they're
it's true.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, there's not enough to do in space. They can fix that over time.
There's stuff they can do to make that better, to make it a more complete package with the DLC expansion. I mean, and I'm sure I hope they will.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You got some of those developers out there being like, "You guys don't understand why this is the way it is." I'm like, "You're right," but also one of the reasons it is the way it is because you're just combining features from your other game. It's like, why are the powers like this? Because those are just dragon shouts, and then the extended ones are the Fallout.
They're just relabeling things.
Yeah, it's relabeled mechanics from the other games. So it's like, on one hand, yes, people don't generally know much about game development and criticizing it. They mostly sound like they don't understand anything they're saying. But at the same time, I know a recycled game mechanism when I see one.
Yeah,
and
of course.
It's like, there's more. I mean, there's more you can do with how. And somebody modded the thing to be able to fly freely, like in a week.
It's so funny how the fans get that stuff done in like a couple days.
I mean, I'm sure you need to have it be a more rock solid mechanical
and
thing
get it all certified,
make it a pro. Yeah, all that. But like,
hey, let the fans do it, man.
Well, what one fan group that was making a multiplayer mod for it gave up because, quote, the game's boring.
Oh.
And I'm like, to be fair, I absolutely would not want to play the game multiplayer.
No.
That would be boring multiplayer.
Yeah,
what do you gain from that?
There's no point.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so Matt's pick is Starfield. My pick for the best RPG of 2023, if you haven't figured it out by now because we didn't pick the same thing, it is Baldur's Gate 3. Matt, just this morning, when I was taking a shower, it's always one of my most reflective moments of the day where I can just think about stuff.
Especially Asterion.
Yeah. I was thinking back to my days as a very young boy playing Dungeons and Dragons. And
the THACO era.
My mind flashed back to my character sheet and the character that I had, and I remember how destroyed that sheet was. Like, it was this piece of notebook paper that I had drawn my crest on, and I had all my stuff on there and written it all by hand, and I had taken it to so many people's houses that it had become tattered and worn and thin.
You erased stuff so much you wore a hole through
Some of it. And this game took me back to those moments, and like, you can't, to me, there's no amount of money I could spend that's not worth that. Like, going back to that awesome time of my life where me and my friends were getting together every Saturday and Sunday in the basement of my friend's house to play Dungeons and Dragons together. This game took me back to all of that. And talking about the role-playing in this is insane, Matt. I talked to people. So Pachter just started playing this, by the way. He finally moved on from Tears of the Kingdom. He's now playing Baldur's Gate 3. He started telling me about his stories that he's played so far, and I was like, it's completely different from my story. Completely different. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, what about this? He's like, well, I did this and that. And I was like, oh.
Well, it's like there's the video that's been going around of that woman describing all the different ways to tackle the goblin camp.
Right.
And it's like 11 minutes long, and there's like 40 different things you can do. And things I didn't even like, you can seduce the goblin queen.
Well, remember, I poisoned them all.
Yeah.
I put poison apples in their food, and I started watching them drop. Like,
but and that was sort of in response to what I complained about with the Game Awards, that it didn't win game direction or narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge miss.
Yeah. People can go through so much of this stuff and never describe the same situation. And a bunch of the stuff you choose to do will come back and haunt you 70 hours later. Like,
no, it's true. It's shocking, actually.
It's crazy. And like, even just reloading the save, because at one point, I don't remember what I did. I did something wrong, and I had to reload a save. I think it might have been in the Goblin Camp, but I went back to, and the latest save I had, because of the auto-saving and forgetting to manual save, was before, when I first got to that camp where the kid tries to steal stuff from you.
Yeah.
And so that conversation I had again, but this time I got the roll and spotted the kid who was trying to pickpocket me, and that whole thing went completely different.
It's mind-boggling how they made this game. It really is. Like,
and that, to me, is one of my issues with it, with the rolling all the time, is that, like, in other games, if you fail the check for something, you just have to pick another option. You don't get the optimal option. In this, it continues.
Yeah.
And you live with the consequences of this random result.
There are lots of times where
bugs the shit out of me.
I can see why. But it also reminds me of D&D, because it's like there was times where I felt like I was completely out of control of what happened to my character.
Yeah, and I don't like that. But
I understand it.
It's an amazing achievement at the same time.
It really...
Like,
yeah. And I see Sound Wizard is like, woohoo, you can send me the trophy instead of Larry. And because he did the sound for Baldur's Gate 3. Congratulations, man. Like, your work in the game is also amazing.
The other thing I'll say about this is, like, it starts pretty standard issue D&D story. I mean, you start on an Illithid ship. That's a little weird. But, like, a little more epic than normal. But, like, you're in a wooded area and you're killing kobolds or whatever. This game goes crazy later. Like, you have no idea where they're going with this. Like,
you really don't.
It gets world shattering. From directions you don't expect world shattering to come from.
But then you remember. Like, there's like, this game is so big. Like, you eventually start to forget decisions that you made, things that happened where you were disappointed.
Like,
things
you'll be
where you
mad
related.
at your past self for making snap
then
decisions on things that you thought were nothing, and they're like, oh no.
No. Like, it's awesome.
You did the thing. I'm like, oh, yes, I did that.
The thing.
I did that.
It's great, man.
Oh, should I reload that save 40 hours or no?
I'm not doing it. I'm going to have to live with it. Yeah.
That part's great.
Yeah. So as a role-playing game, I think Baldur's Gate, it pushed all the buttons for me. Again, as an old, lapsed D&D player, it took me right back to being like 8 and 9 years old again, sitting in the basement with my buddies, pulling my player thing out of my pocket. It's like folded up like 5 times. It's like you unfold it, and you can see like the crease lines are about to I just remember everything. I remembered the smell of my friend's basement.
Ugh.
It wasn't great. But I remembered, I'm like, his basement smelled really musty. Like, but that's what stuff like this does.
That's what a dungeon would also smell like. It's okay.
Good point. So anyway, my pick for RPG of the year for 2023 is Baldur's Gate 3.
I admit that if it was a real life RPG, I probably would have decked the DM a couple of times. But I didn't.
There were times I wanted to deck my friends who were DMs back in the day.
It's interesting to see, like, a lot of the people that I know who like this game the most are people who don't play a lot of video games, and so aren't kind of as judgmental about the mechanics in play, or who have never really played a tabletop RPG, so they don't understand how mean the DM is being in Baldur's Gate 3.
Also,
but like it's kind of better because they just go with it. They just accept it and go with it. And like they're having a much better time than I did. So I'm kind of jealous.
Well, it's also funny looking back because you realize that one of your best friends like held control over something that was very important to you. But the thing is you're all very young, so you don't have the ability of foresight like you do when you get older. So if you're a kid who's a dungeon master, like, you can just be mad at me because I beat you at basketball earlier. And you're going to kill my character. But you don't think about, like, well, if I kill Shane's character...
the blacksmith turns into a dragon and eats you.
Right. But if I kill his character, he's not going to play anymore. And we're going to lose somebody who plays D&D with. Like, that's the type of stuff as kids that nobody thinks about.
Luckily, when people I played with, we were all also comic book nerds.
Yeah.
So we had very elaborate methods of getting characters back to life after something horrible happened to them, which was sort of part of the game.
Right. It was kind of.
Like, how is that character going to come back?
Because we can't kill him. You had good friends.
Yeah.
I did not, apparently. Anyway, there you go. The best RPG of 2023, in my opinion, is Baldur's Gate.
Also, if you haven't seen the D&D movie that came out this year with Chris Pine, go do that.
I haven't, actually.
It's real good.
Wow. I'd heard that, but I just didn't believe it.
It's way better than you think it is. And they're talking about... I saw a thing yesterday where there's like studios talking about making a Baldur's Gate 3 movie. And I'm like... you have a D&D movie. They literally mentioned Baldur's Gate in the D&D. It takes place in Waterdeep. That's just up the coast from Baldur's Gate. Like, just put Baldur's Gate shit in the sequel.
Just get in your cart and move your ass up the coast. It's
all those most of the characters you have in Baldur's Gate 3 are established D&D characters, like the demon girl. And like those are all, a bunch of them are already characters.
Right.
Just have them show up in live action. Like, how great would that be?
Yeah. Yep, makes
Put
sense.
Baldur's Gate in the subtitle, Dungeons and Dragons.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate Wii. I don't know, like this. they go to Baldur's Gate. Fuck you.
That's all we need to know.
That's all just put it in there.
All right, so let's move on. Next up is Best Indie Game. And Matt, it is indie game here on SIFTD. It is not independent game. I did that purposely for you. And we will.
Although both of ours are legitimately independent.
They are, yes. And I didn't do that on purpose. It just kind of worked out that way, but that's how it worked out. I'm sure you did.
I didn't pick Dave the Diver. Spoilers.
There's a shocker, too. Matt, what did you pick for Best Indie Game of 2023?
I think this is one of those games from earlier in the year that nobody remembered. That you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Everspace 2.
Matt, I forgot this game even came out this year.
I know you did.
I started looking at your rundown and I was like, what? I completely forgotten about this game.
Yeah.
In fact, I had to go grab B-roll because I had deleted the B-roll off the train.
You didn't think this was going to be needed later, did you?
I didn't.
Now I played this for like 80 hours.
Yeah.
This is probably my second most played game of the year.
Wow.
And it is an independent game. It's by what's the name of this goddamn I can't remember the name of the studio, but they're like, it's like 25 people and they independently make these and publish them themselves. That's
pretty incredible.
It's the definition of a AA game, basically. And this is basically an action RPG looter shooter space game, and it's got a pretty decent story and a huge world all but these like 7 different solar systems to go to, tons of quests to do, way more varied random locations than Starfield, and you never even get out of the ship.
Are there other human character or human players in the world, or
no,
is single player?
It's a single player RPG. And it's just phenomenal.
You love these games, man.
I love space combat stuff.
You love space RPGs.
Yeah. And one of the reasons, this is what Starfield was kind of missing.
Yeah.
Like this does because it's all it is.
It does the other part really well.
Yeah.
And Starfield does the other part really well.
You get out of the ship and walk around. Yeah. But you can fly down to planets, and you don't get to get out and walk around, but you can fly down and go through canyons and land and do trading, and there's a bunch of things. And get bigger ships, and you can customize the ships. Like, every bit of the ship has different, like, cosmetic parts you can unlock and change them around. You can upgrade. You have a whole fleet of ships that you get to, like, switch between, and you get various powers from your allies. And, like, there's tons and tons, and, like, it's actually a pretty compelling story because you play... You're a clone pilot, like in the aftermath of a war where clones were outlawed. Like,
So you have to hide your identity?
You have to hide your identity and pretend, make sure nobody knows you're a clone. But the main bad guy in the game is another clone of you.
No. You.
Who might be the original you.
Oh.
You don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll make you think a little bit.
The original you is like from hundreds of years ago. Like from 100. It was a long time ago. But
yeah.
he was such a good pilot that they continued to clone him to make. So it's like. And like you're running into people like one of your main allies knew like other clones of you. The AI in your ship has been the AI companion of all the clones.
Oh, jeez.
And every once in a while, it's just like, yep, you do this, and he's like, oh, does it work out? It's like, you are the 345th clone that I have. It's like oh, this doesn't work out.
It doesn't work out. That's funny.
It has a sense. So it has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It kept me playing and it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
like it's
a pretty
very
game.
beautiful. It's got that, it's not realistic astronomy, but it does strike a good pose and make a pretty picture.
Yep. So yeah, that is.
Oh, and
is that PC only?
No, it's on the.
Did it come out on consoles?
It came out on consoles.
Okay,
not the Switch, but like yeah. And also, when you can warp between solar systems with warp gates, but you can go like hyper lights, like faster than light speed to cross the solar system real quick. And when it does that in real time, and it plays like the most like boppy upbeat like synthwave when you do it. You're like it's like, this is super inappropriate for like, I don't know, but it's like really catchy. It's like, and so like you'll be like jetting across the solar system and it's like, that's a bop. Yeah, it's pretty good. The rest of it's like kind of the
right, what you would expect basically.
Yeah, it's like the Halo shit.
Yeah.
But when you like go to sublight speed, it's just like you're like, okay, like you have a little disco on your ship while you're going from Jupiter to Mars.
It gives the game a little personality.
Yeah,
sure.
It does have a personality. It's got his.
Because that is one thing I would say about those open space trading
it can
RPGs.
Be a little dry.
Yes.
No, this is
That's
not
why
like
I tend
that.
to stay away from them.
I would compare, and the first ever space was basically a Dark Souls in space thing.
Wow.
This is a straight up RPG. Like, it doesn't have that. It's an RPG in space with a spaceship. And
okay.
I would compare it probably closest to Chorus, if you remember that at all.
Yeah, I do actually.
Except with less psychic magic.
Yeah, I remember that part of it too. Okay, so there you go. Matt's pick for best indie game of 2023 is Everspace 2.
Vincent says it's on Game Pass.
Oh,
So,
right now it is?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's still on Game Pass.
Go give it a go. My pick for best indie game, and it was this is hard. There are a lot of, just like everything else, there are a lot of really good indie games this year. And I do wonder if maybe there's a little bit of recency bias impacting my pick. But my pick for best indie game of 2023 is Jusant. We just covered this not that long ago. It's kind of like a team eco game where you're climbing a mountain. It's got this very mysterious story. You don't really understand what's going on. You're just this dude who wanders up to this big cliff face.
I mean, something bad happened.
Right. It's post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
So you know something terrible has happened. You don't know what has happened to the society, and that's the mystery that you solve throughout the course of the game. There's no voice acting. It's one of those things where you just kind of bump around the environment and just slowly uncover the clues of what happened to this missing civilization. Now, in the midst of all that, again, I'm a gameplay first guy. I always look at how you play a game, and this, to me, is one of the most innovative games of 2023 as far as gameplay is concerned. So you are climbing, and you have a rope that you climb with, and the physics that they use for the rope and sort of the design of how they let you use the rope, very creative, very unique. The physics that they use for the rope, the way it will wrap around things, like I just started messing with it. I'm like, okay, you got your rope physics. Let's see what kind of rope physics you really got. And I would start wrapping it around things and seeing if it would create tension to allow me to kind of spring off it, and it does. Like, the real physics are all there. You can really learn to mess with them after a while. Again, like the mystery behind the game, it's like one of those things where you keep finding sort of these little scraps of paper throughout the environment as you go. You learn more and more about it. The game does a great job of building your skills as far as climbing, because another element of the game is you have that climbing rope, but you can also attach it to things. And then when you're ready to release it, you hit a button and it releases, kind of like the cord on the vacuums from like from like the 70s and 80s. But part of the strategy of playing this game is knowing when to release the cable, because sometimes you release a cable and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And you have to go back and start over, go back to that hold, reattach it. There's no other game that I played in 2023 like Jusant on many levels. just on the story and kind of the cryptic clues that you get, trying to piece everything together. Weren't a lot of games like that this year. There's never been a game where you climb like this, ever. And I'm not saying that, like, Assassin's Creed should change this style of climbing. Like,
no, that wouldn't really work.
It wouldn't work. It works for this game.
Yeah, you got to design the game around this.
And they have.
Yeah.
I had a great time with this game. I love the mystery behind it. I was kind of spellbound playing it. And then just after you kind of understand what the game wants you to do, just messing around with the mechanics and the tools that they give you to find different ways to get to places. Because ultimately, this is really a 3D platformer. You start on the ground. You're trying to climb to the top of the mountain. And, you know, it's pretty crazy at times to just look down and realize how far you've climbed already throughout the course of the game. I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, here you're starting to see just sort of how the rope physics work, and you can swing back and forth. You can use that to get to different places.
Well, my thing with that was, like, a bunch of the places you got to swing back and forth, I felt like it wasn't very clear what they were trying to get you to swing to sometimes.
Yeah, no, you're right. There were times where I was like, wait, what am I trying to do?
And I think there was a point where I just was trying to make this one swing jump, like, for, like, 10, 15 minutes, and then I missed it again, and then I accidentally grabbed the part they wanted me to grab, which was, like, down below where the camera wasn't showing. I'm like, fuck you.
Matt, don't you remember when I talked about it? I said, I'm like, a lot of times you don't know what to do in this game, and it's always telling you to go up, but what you have to do is release the rope and go down. So I think the line I even maybe said was, like, sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards in this game. But you're right. It takes a while for you to realize that, and it can be frustrating at first. You're like, wait a minute, like, I'm supposed to be going up. There's no way to go up. And then almost by accident, I held, like, the release button. And I was like, whoa, like, I can go way down.
This thing was, I knew exactly where I was going because it was, like, one of the, you know, the checkpoint things where you're like, okay, that's where they, you know, where the big thing spreads out.
Right.
Like, I knew where I had to go.
Yeah.
And I knew that's where I needed to be. But it just
getting there.
Tell me, it didn't communicate to me where the thing was. And it looked like I should be able to get the thing. I'm like, dude, just a little more. Like, just grab it. Just do it. You know, it's one of those video game things where you're like, just reach. Just
it's right there.
I could do that. Come on.
Yeah. This is this game, like, once you go down the first time, then you start looking for it. And then you're over it. Then you're just like, oh, okay, now that's something that I should do. You're right, though. It should have had, like, arrows pointing down, like, the first time that you do it, or some kind of a visual indicator.
Slather, like, yellow paint all over everything or anything, but, like, there were just things where it was one of those things where I'm just like, I don't have the patience for this right now. Like, I never actually went back to it, but it does have, you know, it is a very impressive technical achievement.
Yeah.
And this is Don't Nod, right?
It is, yeah. Yep. Here you can see, like,
I don't know. It's funny when you see those companies where it's just like, you really just sort of collected a team of geniuses and just keep making stuff, huh? Like,
it is pretty crazy the different genres and styles of games that Don't Nod will make.
Yeah, they really don't miss for the most part.
Very rarely. Yep. Matt and I are fans of Don't Nod. If you haven't figured it out by now, we have been for quite a while.
Looking forward to the married ghost couple thing.
Yeah.
Whose name I can never remember.
So anyway, my pick for best indie game of 2023 is Jusant. Next up, best action adventure. I say this every year, but it used to be the biggest genre in the games industry. Now it's hard to find enough nominees for it every year. However, this year in particular was a pretty good year for our old friend, the action adventure. Matt, what was your pick for best action adventure of 2023?
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, no surprise there. This award, typically, the last few years hasn't really done this, but this award now does have kind of a cascading effect on other awards this year. Because you had a few really good entries in this genre this year. And once you kind of reveal this, that reveal may ultimately reveal some other things on down the road. But I think we all knew that you're a huge fan of Spider-Man 2, as am I. This was probably an easy pick for you.
Yeah, I mean, I did consider Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
I mean, but, like, I went back and I literally typed one out and then the other and deleted it and said the other one and then deleted it and said the other. And in the end, I mean, because they're both, in a weird way, they're similar in the sense that, like, they're not doing anything particularly new. They're just sort of refining something that already existed. Resident Evil 4, obviously, a little more in that regard because it's a remake.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, it's still kind of, you know, this is still the same characters in the same city, expanded to Brooklyn and Queens, but, like, you've already made two games that are probably the best superhero games ever.
Yeah.
These are the Insomniac Spider-Man games are certainly the only superhero games I would even consider putting above Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
I mean, they're the only ones that have been considered like this.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
And frankly, I think the fact that these games work with a fully populated, functioning city and not just randomly clearing everything out is kind of gives them the edge.
Yeah.
But I really like this. I do think if you've played this and you played the other ones, and you haven't gone back to the other ones since you played 2, do that and marvel at how slow the web swinging is. In
no
the
pun
previous
intended.
2 games. Yeah, but it's just amazing. Like you don't realize how much they amped up the web swinging in this
Until
game.
you go back.
Until you go back and like, oh, this is
That's
real hard.
right.
It's hard to go
I
back.
forgot. Yeah.
Like that's one of Insomniac's magic tricks with this game is they made it feel like everything's this like it's like a warm blanket you put back on after being away from those first 2 games. And then you go back and play those games, you're like, oh no, like they worked really hard on the feel of this and
it's
how it
easy
all
to
works
forget
together.
if you don't go back and play the prior games. It's easy to sit there and say, oh, it's just like the last one, but a new blah, blah, blah. No, like a lot of times in these franchises, they are refining everything, but it's a gradual thing. It's not like night and day where you play one game and it's one way and the next game it's another. It evolves over time.
Yeah.
It can be hard to see the changes.
And it's, I mean, I know there's a weird backlash on this game now. Probably,
Really?
Yeah, because partly I think a lot of the Spider-Man and a lot of the Sony fans were whining about this not winning any game awards, despite being nominated for like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a tough year, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is the worst year this could have come out. Let's be honest.
And especially in a panel like this made up of game journalist types, they're gonna be leaning towards the innovation thing over in execution. I am an execution over innovation person usually. Sometimes they go hand in hand, with Baldur's Gate. Yeah. But with this, like this is just flawless execution.
It really is.
And I think I love the side quest. I think it's bold to have taken sort of the criticism of moving away from Spider-Man and playing like non-Spider-Man characters as in the stealth sequences in the other games to heart, but also like a lot of the side quests do put you in the shoes of other characters. They change things around. Like I think the side quest where you play as Miles' deaf friend is really interesting because of the sound design and kind of a little look into her life, and because they do need to humanize her. They need to turn her into more of a character going forward.
Well, yeah, because she's going to be there.
She's going to be there, and she's clearly being set up as Miles' love interest. And right now, I'm just like, well, she's the only girl he knows,
right?
So I guess that's why he's interested. But I'd like to know more about their personal dynamic.
Yeah. They'll get there, I think.
And like some of the side quests touch on mortality, and it's
there are some moments in there.
There's some real stuff in there.
I mean, this is the epitome of the action adventure.
Yeah.
It's a great action game, but it also has a great adventure element to it. The story is amazing. Like, it really sucked me in. Fell in love with a lot of the characters. I loved how they touched on people getting old. There's the one scene with the guy with Alzheimer's by the pond, by the lake. Like, this game touches on things that a lot of other games, I don't know if they're afraid to do it or they just don't think it's worth it.
You can play as either Spider-Man. That's
right.
Like Peter deals with that situation a little differently than Miles.
Yeah, they do.
Miles deals with it a little differently because of the racial connection.
Right.
Because they share that culture and talk about it differently. And Peter is more of an outsider there. Yeah. And they recognize that and deal. It's really smart.
They've done a lot of stuff like that in this game. Yeah.
Like that's an interesting kind of replay value.
Yeah.
And I'm glad one of the things they're adding in the update is the ability to replay missions now. Yeah, because I want to replay a lot of those. I played most
as the other.
Yeah, because I played most of the game, the optional part of the game. I played most of that as Miles.
I did too,
and I'd like to go. I
thought Miles was the better character.
Miles is more fun to play. Yeah? Miles has a better power set. Miles has more interesting tools in combat.
I love the combat of Miles way more.
I heresy, but I like his voice performance better. Mm-hmm. I understand the people who complain that Miles didn't get enough to do in this game, but it is called Spider-Man 2 based on the Peter Parker Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, I think the next game is going to be different.
Yeah, I mean...
If you finished it, I think...
the end really hints at a different thing.
Yep.
And I'm happy for that because I think Miles deserves it.
Yeah.
Maybe not in that final outfit. But it was an Adidas tie-in.
Yeah,
Did you know that? I was like, why does that look so much like an Adidas logo? I said, because it is an Adidas logo.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah.
But
The rest of it is.
The rest of it's pretty great. The rest of it's amazing.
Yep. God of Gamblers 33. Thank you for Twitch Prime getting in there. Okay. Well, Matt kind of hinted already at my pick because you already know that we didn't pick the same game. You may be like, oh, well, then what did Shane pick? My pick is the Resident Evil 4 remake. We'll talk about this a little bit later. This is a remake of a game I played, almost 20 years ago or whatever. It was interesting trying to consider this against other games throughout these awards for that reason. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, this was some of the most fun I had playing video games in 2023. And that makes it difficult. It's like, yeah, a lot of the game is very similar to the original game. A lot of it wasn't. But ultimately, here we are 20 years later, and it's still one of the best video games that I played in this entire year, full of awesome video games.
Yeah, I didn't pick it for most pleasant surprise, but it was on my list just in the sense that, I was a little stunned that they, because I was like, Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game of the series. It's one of the best games of its generation. It's a classic. It's, it changed how third-person action is done.
Yeah.
And the idea that you could remake that and come up with something that even stands in the same area as that is what seemed unlikely to me, but they did it.
They did it, yeah. I had a blast playing this game. If you guys haven't played this yet, I don't know what you're doing. Go buy it and go play it. It is freaking amazing. And it just also solidified in my mind why Resident Evil 4, before this game came out, this remake came out, was one of my favorite games of all time. So a lot of times it's like you do this for as many years as we have. A lot of things you just, keep telling yourself. It's like, I hadn't played RE4 in a long time because I can't with my job or whatever. But I keep telling myself over the last 15 years, it's one of the greatest games ever made. It's one of the greatest games ever made. I could have changed my mind. Maybe I would go back and play it, and I'm like, well, it's actually not one of the... It is. Mm-hmm. I was right all that time. I'm not always right with the things I tell myself. With Resident Evil 4, I absolutely was. It is still an incredible game that holds up well. I think they made the changes in all the right places, meaning places that would not offend big fans of Resident Evil 4. I played through this. I never was like, oh, I can't believe that they did that. They really slighted the original. I never had a single moment of that playing this.
But
remake.
I also never felt like they were repeating it.
No.
I felt like they made their own game.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
this,
yep.
Which was one of the reasons, normally I don't think a lot of remakes I don't think really qualify for awards season most of the time. But every once in a while you get one that goes above and beyond and in a way that it feels like its own achievement on top of it.
It does feel like its own game.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a remake when you play it.
No, it feels like they had to put enough of themselves into this to make it work that I still kind of look funny at the nominated for Game of the Year.
Yep.
But it does deserve to be recognized for what it is.
It's an amazing video game.
Yeah.
It was released in 2023 for sure. So I can understand if people are going to feel a little bit funky about any awards that Resident Evil 4 remake wins or doesn't win or whatever. I respect your opinion on it. I just know that it's one of the greatest games that I played this year. And I felt like I wanted to recognize it in some way, and I did with the Best Action Adventure of 2023.
Yeah, a remade movie would be eligible for the Oscars.
Yeah, absolutely.
You still got to do the work.
It's just personal for me. Yeah. It's just I would prefer to reward new games.
Yeah, but it really needs to be something like this where they just nailed it in a way that you just don't see very often.
This goes above and beyond.
I definitely didn't put the Shadow of the Colossus remake in the running for things that year because I don't think they nailed it the same way.
There's a reason the Resident Evil 4 remake has a 9.4 Metacritic. Yeah. There's no other remake that has a 9.4 Metacritic. Yeah. And there may never be another one.
Yeah, remakes don't often become one of the highest rated games of all time.
Yeah, and this one did. So
especially when what they're remaking is one of the highest rated.
Right.
Because normally what you're going to do is you're just going to screw something up and it's not going to feel right, and people who love the first one are going to be like, nah, and the people who didn't play the first one are like, why would I play a subpar remake?
Right.
Usually, they set the degree of difficulty on this real high.
Yeah.
Even for Resident Evil. They're messing with classics.
They've done a great job on pretty much all of them, really man.
Good. Yeah,
Capcom has just been knocking it out of the park.
I don't even like Resident Evil 3 very much, but that remake is a vast improvement.
It was my least favorite Resident Evil, and I love the remake of it.
Yeah, I have so much faith in them on these at this point. I would play a remake of Resident Evil 0, and I hated that game.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Yep. So there you go. My pick for Action Adventure of 2023, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Next up, Best Platformer. Which is a genre that we've kind of combined. Every once in a while, we would do Best 3D Platformer and Best 2D Platformer. And honestly, Generally, there's enough releases every year that we could probably still do it. I just think
3D platformers are rarer.
They are certainly more rare than 2D platformers. This year in particular, though, there really weren't any great 3D platformers at all. So we combined them all into one category for this year's awards. Matt, what's your pick for the best platform? Actually, we can just share this.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And honestly, it's probably your pick, too.
Yeah, it's not really. There's no...
This is maybe the easiest award of the entire award show.
It's the first one I filled in.
Yep. And the winner is Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Just an absolutely sublime 2D platformer. I'm hoping by now a lot of you guys have picked it up and played it. I felt like when we were talking about it, I think it had been out for like 5 or 6 days. It seemed like nobody had got it. Like, no one in our chat was talking about their experiences with it. Like, it was just you and I. Mm-hmm. I was kind of surprised, taken aback by that.
I mean, it didn't come out on the same day as something else, like, big.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that whole week was rough. Like, you had to make some tough decisions that entire week. There were some big games that came out. But still, like, we have some pretty big Nintendo fans on SIFTD. I was surprised that there weren't more people talking about it and giving us feedback about things that they liked and didn't like about it. It was just kind of us having a one-way conversation with everyone in chat. So I'm hoping some of you guys have picked it up and played it by now, and hopefully you agree with Matt and I that it is absolutely incredible. Power-ups in this, some of the best power-ups, not just in recent memory, but in Mario ever, I think. Just very fun to play. The last couple 2D Mario games, like I've said this before, 2D platformers, it's a genre that I have played more than any other in my life. Like from Donkey Kong, I have been playing 2D platformers, and it takes a lot to really catch my eye anymore, because it's just, I feel like I've played them all, I've done it all, I've been there, I've done that. When I do find a 2D platformer that it feels like something new and fresh, I resonate with it, and I absolutely resonated with this game. Just a blast from start to finish.
Well, and especially with Mario, it's like, is there anything that feels more played out than 2D Mario at this point?
Until you play this.
Until you play this, and it just makes you have to sit up and pay attention to this thing.
Yeah.
You go through that second level with the musical number with the piranha plants. You're like, what the hell are you?
I mean, that's one of the greatest 2D Mario levels ever. Yeah.
You're like, okay, I see you, Nintendo.
This game kept doing this, though.
Yeah.
Like, around every turn, there was something else that I was like, what? Like, just these moments that just happen because you get the Wonder Flowers or whatever, and you never know what's going to happen in each level when you get the Wonder Flower. You just don't.
It changes the level completely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And it goes completely off the rail.
I thought the game was breaking sometimes.
It's so much wilder than you think Nintendo's willing to go.
I really feel like they took the reins off.
It feels like they took a couple of pages out of WarioWare.
A little bit.
On this.
Yeah.
It had that kind of like, oh my God, I didn't know what was about to happen, and now I got to deal with this right now. And it's like...
There's also some times where it was so crazy. To your point, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, Nintendo would... When Nintendo do this?
Yeah.
And then something starts happening in the game, I'm like, is this game broken?
Yeah, there's stuff in here that is usually reserved for their like B-list.
Yeah,
stuff. Like you don't see them mess with their A-list formula this very
just an incredible game, like from beginning to end. I've also went back and started playing some of this again, even, which I hardly ever do.
And I've seen a couple of my friends who I told they were looking for Christmas games or games for their kids or games the whole family could play, and I was saying this, and they're like, oh, we didn't really like the ones from before very much. And I'm like,
neither did I.
Don't judge this by the new Super Mario Brothers stuff.
Seriously.
Like, this is not that.
I felt the same way.
For one thing, it's no longer divorce mode.
Right.
Because you can't screw each other's jumps up.
Yeah, they did a much better job with the co-op in this as well. Yeah. But it was just one of those games where you just never know what's going to happen. It just caught me off guard and surprised me over and over and over again. Like, I didn't even really think Elephant Mario was like the cool thing in this game. And it's for whatever reason, it's what everyone else has like been attracted to. Not for me. Like, it was all the other stuff that really, to me, stood out in this game. And also the visuals in this game. Just incredible.
Yeah, super clean.
Just clean. The animation's amazing. Like, all these little moments. Like, you saw there, like, I went into the fountain just to check out the transparencies of the water. Like, stuff like that happens over and over and over in this game. Just the whole package. Amazing stuff. Like, the only thing that this series is missing after this game is a story. But does anyone want a story in a 2D Mario game?
Not unless you let them talk.
Not really.
And also, I think Sonic has proven that doesn't really get you anything.
Nope, it really doesn't.
Because Sonic definitely went the other way with the story thing.
Yeah.
And how do we all feel about that?
I think Nintendo took the right approach.
Probably.
Yeah.
Although I wonder, in the wake of the Mario movie, lean further into that kind of idea.
Matt, that would be a terrible mistake.
Would not be a good idea.
That would be a terrible mistake. Well, here you see, here's one of the Wonder Flowers, and the whole world just starts going ape shit. Like, this is the way this game is. Every level is like this. You get the Wonder Flower, you have no idea what's going to happen. None. And it's just like when you get it for the first time and it happens, like it's almost like the first time it happens, you're in awe and like I would screw it up. Mm-hmm. And like, cause I'd just be like taken aback. I'd be like, what? Like,
the Wonder Flower is like, and then the mushrooms kicked in.
Yeah, exactly.
For real. It's like.
Yeah, man. It's just an amazing game. I hope you guys have picked this up by now. If not, I highly recommend, like, ask for it for Christmas. If you don't feel like buying it, get somebody else to get it for you.
I can see this being a good Christmas Day game, just in general.
Yeah, you pull it out, you put it in your Switch, and you and all the kids in your family will play it all day long.
And now Mario's sobered up.
Yep. Dinner will come, and people will not want to stop playing. I promise you.
Did you see that?
Yep. Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Again.
Yeah.
Luigi tried to hide the booze, but he didn't do it well enough.
We'll be waiting a while for a 2D platformer that tops this one.
Yeah.
We will. And we may have to wait for Nintendo to do it.
But yeah, it might just be the next 2D Mario.
Yeah, exactly. But here's another thing, Matt. I am very happy that this franchise, the 2D Mario franchise, is off in this direction now. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. It feels like Nintendo finally was like, you know what? F it. Like, seriously, though.
Let's go crazy.
Yeah. Let's just make the craziest, most awesome 2D Mario game we can. And let's keep doing that, Nintendo. And here, one of the best 2D Mario levels ever. Mm. Just incredible. Just creativity at every turn. Just
incredible sound design.
Everything.
Like, if you kill the piranha plants that are singing certain parts of the song changes.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. It's just
remarkable.
Amazing stuff, man. Again, if you haven't got it already, go get it.
And it's like,
worth it.
This is the kind of stuff you want to Switch for.
Yeah.
Not like broken ports of games that aren't
that are 11 years old.
But it's like you're not successfully running Arkham Asylum on this thing.
Yeah.
But like then you can do that.
Yeah.
Like no competition.
Yep. So there you go. Those are our picks for best platformer of 2023. Next up, best driving game. Matt, you want to share your take on this?
Well, I didn't play any driving games this year other than Forza Motorsport, and I wasn't going to give that an award.
Yeah.
So just take the R out of driving game and call it diving game, and I give it to Dave the Diver.
There you go. That's Matt's pick for best driving game. However, I did play a driving game that I really liked this year, so I am going to give it an award for best driving game of 2023, and that game is The Crew Motorfest. It is basically a multi-platform take on Forza Horizon. It's set in an open-world Hawaii.
I might have agreed with this, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah, you never got to play it.
The first one's shutting down.
Yeah, I know. But it is like 11 years old or whatever. I can't imagine there's too many people still playing it.
Also, it's terrible.
It isn't good. And to be honest with you, Matt, I didn't like any Crew games until this one.
This was kind of shocking that you liked this so much.
Well, they flipped it on its head. It's nothing like the prior games. It's still an arcade-style racing game, but it's set in an open world, just like the Forza Horizon games. And I'll be honest, like, it's a little shameless in how it does rip off Forza Horizon. And it's really shameless, actually, not a little. But if you're somebody who's owned a PlayStation all this time and you've been envious or jealous of the Forza Horizon franchise because there really hasn't been a third-party game that kind of emulates that, here you go. And not only does it do it, it does it well. Would I say it's as good as Forza Horizon 5? I don't think I would go that far, even though it did come out a year or two later than Forza Horizon 5, but it is more than an adequate facsimile. I still had a blast with it. I did go back and play some more Forza Horizon 5 after playing this, just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind, and this game absolutely can hold a candle to it. So, again, if you've been envious of that great franchise on Xbox and PC all this time, you're a PlayStation owner, go get this game. It is easily the best driving game of 23 because there wasn't a whole lot of competition, but I feel like even in a year where there was stiff competition, I still feel like it would have reigned supreme. So I had a great time with this game. It was nice to play Forza Horizon 5 every year, or Forza Horizon every year instead of every other year. Now we have this kind of filler maybe that can jump in every other year that Horizon isn't released, and we'll get a great arcade racing game every year going forward. I sure hope that works out that way. I really hope it sold well for Ubisoft. I think I saw the sales charts. It finished like at number 10 or something in November, which isn't terrible.
Yeah, I mean, this can't be like one of their top costing games.
Yeah, I don't think it cost a whole lot to develop.
I mean, the other crews didn't really blow the doors off the sales charts either, but they clearly did well enough for them to support them for years.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you can count on Ubisoft supporting this game for a long, long time. As Matt just said, They're just now taking down the first Crew. It's over a decade old. They're still putting out they put out DLC for the Crew before this one like a month ago. Like they are still supporting the game prior.
And that came out when Sam still worked.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, that's the other thing. This is a pretty good investment. Like if you buy it, it's going to get support for a long time to come. Ubisoft's not going to bail on it. And again, if you've been jealous or envious of the Forza Horizon franchise, go get this game. You will not regret it. They did a great job on it. So yeah, that's my pick for the best driving game of 2023. Next up, another category, but this one I didn't think was as easy as the prior category that we gave this game an award for.
I did.
You thought it was
Yeah.
You thought it was just as easy?
Yeah.
So our pick for best fighting game is, we both picked the same thing, Street Fighter 6. I did struggle a little bit with Mortal Kombat 1 because the single player is so good.
Single player is good for sure, but Street Fighter 6 is the best fighting game I've played in 15 years.
A long time. Yeah.
Since Street Fighter 4.
And it comes down to the fighting.
Yeah.
And that's why ultimately I was like, no, it's the no-brainer winner still.
Is Mortal Kombat probably a better like overall single player package if you just want to get immersed in the, if you want content to play through with a K.
It is.
Content with a K. Yes, for sure.
It is, yeah.
But Street Fighter 6 is the best fighting game.
The fighting is way better, yeah. And again, there are some people out there that love Mortal Kombat. Maybe you grew up in the arcades playing it. It's what you're better at, and you enjoy it more. Totally get it. Totally respect your opinion on it.
Maybe you need infinites to win a game. I don't know. I mean, Mortal Kombat does generally come out a little broken.
Yeah.
Which is part of the charm of it. It's fun to. It's always been fun to watch people, back in the couple games ago where it's just like, okay, it's just going to be a bunch of people playing Cabal and Kung Lao, the whole grand finals. Like, but
if I want to play a serious fighting game, I play Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter is on another level. Again, I wasn't ready for that. I didn't expect that. Like 5 was good, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Not like 4. 4, for all its weird foibles and strange art choices, was just like, that changed fighting game. It brought fighting games back. Like it was. When we got the preview code for that game back in 2008. A bunch of us got in trouble at work because we were just playing Street Fighter all day. Like, we were literally just playing Street Fighter all morning. Like, I would go write, like, a paragraph of a script and then go back in the game lab and play a few rounds of Street Fighter. Like, at some point, like, Wade had to be like, okay, everyone needs to do their actual job instead of playing Street Fighter all morning. And, like...
Yep. And look,
so this is the first time I've played that 5 was fine, but this was like, oh, this feels good. This feels like what I got sucked into before.
It is unfortunate that this game came out, or that Mortal Kombat 1 came out this year, because it is Fighting Game of the Year worthy. Like, any other year but this year, it probably would have won Fighting Game of the Year. But it just happened to come out when the best Street Fighter in almost 20 years came out. Yep. And it just, like, I played through the campaign in Mortal Kombat 1 in, like, one sitting. I was totally sucked into it. I loved it. I had a blast. It did a good job teaching me the fighting mechanics and the tweaks that they had made to the fighting system. And I played the campaign. I enjoyed the campaign in Mortal Kombat 1 way more. But I enjoy the fighting in Street Fighter 6 way more. Like, I hardly played Mortal Kombat 1 online at all. I think I played, like, a total of, like, 2 hours. I played online Street Fighter 6 dozens of hours. So... ultimately, it was a pretty easy choice. I do feel bad because I love NetherRealm and I love the people that work there. They're all good people, and they made an amazing game. Just the timing, like even next year, like even against like Tekken 8, it would have had a better chance. I'm guessing. We'll see.
I mean, Tekken 8 has its own narrative flair,
right? In a totally different way, and we'll see how that plays out ultimately. That's coming. Is that January or February?
I don't remember. Soon. I think it was February, but it might be the end of January.
It's soon. And also, I think there's an open beta for Tekken 8 that's happening this month, if you want to give it a go.
Yeah, and then, like, I mean, it was a good year for fighting games overall.
Yeah, it was.
Good. I mean, some of it just for, like, new content for existing, like, Guilty Gear Strive got new stuff. Yeah. That game's great. If you
they continue to support that as well.
If you haven't played Strive, you should play that. The new Grand Blue came out yesterday or Wednesday. I don't remember. That might be Game of the Year.
The Relink Rebirth or whatever?
Yeah, the new Grand Blue fantasy thing.
Yeah.
That might be Game of the Year quality, but
Yeah.
you know, it's a little late for that.
Yeah, we're still waiting for reviews for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt I like that better than Street Fighter. I like the previous one a lot, but you know, you know, if you like anime fighters, that whole thing's booming. You know, with stuff like Grand Blue and
it's great.
You know,
it's a great time to be alive if you're a
Under
fighting
Night
game
in
fan.
Stay Birth or whatever the hell that is. Yeah.
Sis, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that title's like way crazy.
But they're doing some really cool stuff. You know, Blaze Blue.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's not. You know, that was speaking of the adventure thing. It's like this is another genre that was dormant for many years.
It's been revived.
And came roaring back and never went away again.
Yep, it's great. So there you go. Both of us picked Street Fighter 6 for best fighting game of 2023.
Vincent says Ground Blue. The reviews finally went up. 86 aggregate, and IGN gave it a 9.
There you go. It's been, again, a great year for fighting games. The next year's not going to be too shabby either. So I'm also guessing we'll probably see a new Dead or Alive revealed here in the next 18 months-ish. Mm-hmm. That franchise is way overdue. So probably be seeing something new from that as well. But
I don't know. The 3D fighting thing, we're talking about that a little bit online and stuff this week about how the 3D fighting thing is basically dead. Like it's Tekken and nobody.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
Sega's teasing some Virtua Fighter thing. But no one really knows what that is yet.
Yeah.
But people were talking about like the people who were in charge of Soul Calibur aren't there anymore.
How do you let that franchise die? You can't.
They basically ended up having to pick Soul Calibur or Tekken, and Tekken was more popular.
Yeah.
That was the end of it. And Harada kind of makes that choice for you in some ways. But you know, Dead or Alive has been basically dormant forever. Yeah, one of the other games people kept bringing up was Bloody Roar, and I'm like, okay, not only is Bloody Roar owned by Konami, so good luck, but also the last Bloody Roar game was like 23 years ago.
Yeah. That's like bringing up War Gods.
Yeah, it's like I don't think we really need to put Bloody War in the same category as all these like 3D fighters that have just sort of fallen off recently. It's like Bloody Roar had 4 games and never really broke out of anything. So I think let it go. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Virtua Fighter in a way.
Yep. And Vincent brings up Fatal Fury. There's a new one of those coming.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Fatal Fury and King of Fighters stuff like that's always there. You can't forget how popular the King of Fighters and SNK stuff is in
King of Fighters 15 still going strong
in Central America and South America. Like those are your fighting games there.
Yeah.
And that's a very vibrant culture. If you want to poke your nose into that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good to see one of our favorite genres thriving again.
Yeah,
because there was a while there where it almost looked like it was going to go away. So very encouraging. All right, next up, best strategy game. This may have been the weakest genre of 2023.
Yeah, there wasn't much here. This is another easy choice, partly by default.
And this is another category where Matt and I both picked the same game, and that game is Pikmin 4. If you guys remember what I said about Pikmin 4, this shouldn't come as any surprise. And I hope you guys have went and bought this game. Now, I know we have some audience in Japan. If you're in Japan, you have bought it. This game is selling like hotcakes in Japan. Mm-hmm. It is not selling like hotcakes here, and it should be. This isn't just a great...
I never see anybody talk about this game anymore.
This isn't just a great strategy game or a great Pikmin game. This is one of the best games of 2023. I know a lot of you don't want to hear it, but it is the truth. It's like looking at the sales of this in the U.S., like I feel like I've failed in some way. Now, our audience is...
I wouldn't go that far, but like it is really good. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to like.
Yeah, me too. Like I had almost written off Pikmin. And remember, this game was supposedly done for 4 years.
This thing was in some kind of weird limbo forever.
Like we wondered if it was ever going to come out. And
didn't he say this was done like when the Wii U was winding down?
Yeah, he had said it was finished like 4 years before it ever came out. And we're sitting here like, okay, well, where is it? I just assumed like it's probably trash, and that's why they're not putting it out. But it looked like they were just waiting for trying to find a release window for, I don't know, but it's amazing. Like, go get it. If you own a Switch, go get this game. You will not regret it. Like,
or if you've ever even vaguely enjoyed a Pikmin game before.
Yeah, this is the best Pikmin game ever, by the way. Ever.
Yeah. I would definitely agree with that.
A wide margin. So if you've enjoyed Pikmin in the past, you still haven't picked this up, go get it. This is another great game to ask for the holidays from the significant other or the family or whatever. If you don't want to buy it yourself, let somebody else buy it, and then you'll thank them for buying it for you because it's flipping awesome. All the things that annoyed me about Pikmin games in the past were gone, and now they have evolved slowly over time. It seems like every entry they'd change one or two things that annoyed me about the prior game. This one, it's just the bucket game. They just tossed the whole bucket. Mm-hmm. Just incredible.
Very satisfying progression
Yep.
system, which has been something it lacked previously.
Just the pathfinding, like you don't have to like find your way through the worlds anymore. You can just go to the map and select a point, and your Pikmin will just automatically go there. It changes how you multitask and changes the strategy of playing the game.
Well, it's like they finally played an RTS from after 1997.
Seriously. Sometimes that stuff works for Nintendo, like Nintendo not knowing what's going on at large. Sometimes that pays off. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, the keys here are things here are I mean, some of it's just the design and giving you a reason to keep moving because, the progression is satisfying, but it's also, they let you designate the Pikmin's path and kind of command them remotely and take away that tedium. And giving you the dog it was genius because it solves the other problem with Pikmin, which is that he runs so fucking slow. Yeah. And now you can just get around.
Well, plus the dog does so much other stuff. Right. Like, there's just so many smart decisions that were made
But so many times playing this, I was just like, man, I would probably stop playing now if I had to walk to the place I need to go.
Where they're telling me to go.
But because I can get on the dog and just sprint there, it's already done. It's done before I can think about complaining about it.
Yeah, and then you can use him to go across water. You can load all your Pikmin on top of him and use him as like a carrier. It's crazy, the stuff. What's his name? Poochie or something? I can't remember his name now.
I can't remember. Mochi or Mochi.
Something like that. Yeah. But it is crazy how much that little dog changes the entire Pikmin franchise.
Yeah. And it's easy to think that it's going to be like, oh, they added a cute little mascot dog because that's
because they want to sell merch.
The Pikmin aren't cute enough by themselves anymore, so they put a dog in the game. Okay. But no, like he's there for a bunch of real reasons.
Yeah. Yep. And he's cute.
He does serve that purpose.
Yeah, he's Poochie. Yeah, I guess is his name. No, Poochie is Yoshi's friend. Ochi. That's what it is. Owachi or something.
Yeah.
Oachi, I think.
Yeah, Poochie is the dog that gets shoved into Itchy and Scratchy in The Simpsons.
Oh, right.
And then has to return to his home planet.
Yeah, then there's also the duality of this, where you have the world below and the world above. And prior Pikmin games had that, but the world below was a shell of what it is in this game.
Making the world below into like dungeon crawls was another smart idea.
And again, changing how the strategy of the game is played. So.
It really is a revolutionary take on the Pikmin concept.
Yeah.
It changes. It's kind of a little Mario Wondery. It's like, oh, wow, you really kind of freed yourself up from the constraints of what you seem like. They seem to be laboring under this delusion that Pikmin had to be a certain thing for the first three games.
Yeah.
And this one, they really sort of broke them. I mean, the dungeon thing was the underground thing was in 3.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
It's almost annoying, honestly.
But the concept really gelled here.
Yeah.
In a way that it just didn't in the other one.
Yep. And again,
the other one, I think when we talked about it, I didn't remember there were underground things.
You didn't remember,
yeah.
Because you wanted to forget them.
Very unmemorable. Yeah, they weren't fun. These are fun. I look forward to doing them in this game.
Yeah, and then the puzzle solving that is added with the dog to, run into things and knock things down. It's just, again, highly recommend this game.
Yeah, my only real drawback is, like, early on, there's a lot of talking.
There is,
There's a lot of tutorial crap. There's a lot of constant, like, story setup, people talking, and it's that thing where, like, you're the early parts of sort of a by the numbers RPG where what characters are going to say before they say it, and you're just like, just get on.
I feel like a lot of Nintendo games,
but you don't want to skip
too
much of it because you don't want to miss like some key tutorial element. You won't know. I didn't know that you could do this. That's because you skip through 4,000 lines of text where people were just talking about bullshit. Right?
I feel like a lot of Nintendo games are like that.
Nintendo does have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's something they could fix. But this game soars eventually. It's really great. I highly recommend it. Go get it. Pikmin 4. Next up, the category both Matt and I hate. Generally hate. Maybe we should have excluded it from this year's...
Yeah, I mean, there's a point at which you should not be rewarded for this anymore.
Seriously. However, I do think that both of us came up with great winners for this category, regardless of whether we enjoy the genre or not. And this is basically our best game as a service category. Matt, what is your pick for the best ongoing game of 2023?
No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Probably the 6th year in a row.
Yeah, is it? How many years have you given it the award?
A lot.
And it's not like it's not deserving. No. It totally is.
It's pretty much the only game of this type I play.
Yeah, that's true. Because both of us have fallen off with Destiny 2, so... Yeah.
But it continues, again, put out like a bunch of updates this year, all for free. They add a bunch of significant content. They change a bunch of stuff. They added... It just keeps going. Like this game...
It's really incredible.
This game passed what everyone expected it to be about 4 years ago, and is just continuing to do more things. And Yeah, this year they added like bigger space battles, which like you can end up in space battles with like 100 ships. Like it's crazy. like the the new ships and the way everything works now, and the community missions, and there's reasons to do every aspect of the game now. Some of it outside of your save, some of it inside of your save. You get bonuses for that. Yeah,
I hardly recognize it anymore. I look at it. I played like 50 hours of this game.
It's a different game now in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
like you've got the colony bases now, and like you can be the overseer of the colony and like you have to go help them and like choose which direction they grow in, and like and that benefits you in all these other ways. There's some fascinating ideas in here.
Well, it's even more fascinating now after having played Starfield.
Yeah.
And you realize what this little team managed to pull off.
Yeah, this is like 12 people.
It's incredible, man. It's just mind-blowing.
And now they're making Earth.
Yeah. The first real open world game, Matt. That's a good pick.
World.
Yeah, I mean, you can if they keep working on this game that much, keep on picking it, Matt.
Yeah, they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Because you and I, we aren't falling into the traditional like games as a service games. No. Like we look for stuff a little bit off the beaten path.
Most of the time, I just find like it's the game as a service model just ruins it because I can see the strings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it becomes very clear that you're holding this back because you want me to chase that carrot on the stick, and I'm like, I don't actually care that much. Joke's on you. Yeah. Especially if your game is free, I can drop that thing like a hot potato.
Yeah. Yep. Well, my pick for best game as a service, and it's not like I played a ton of them, but I'll just be honest with you, the one that I did play that I thought was heads and shoulders above everything else is Fortnite. This was an amazing year for Fortnite. Like, Fortnite just launched a racing game, an arcade-style racing game, and a full-on, like, Rock Band clone, in addition to all the big events that it did this year.
And the Lego survival game.
And the Lego survival game. It also went back and reset to like its OG roots for the beginning of this season. Like, it has had an insane year. And you guys know we are not big Fortnite players. We are not big Fortnite. You cannot deny what Epic Games did in 2023 with this game.
Just look how many children they've introduced to M&M.
Yeah, seriously. It's like every quarter you see the financial report for Meta, and then you see where they wrote off like $2.5 billion of work on the metaverse that they're never going to recoup.
Yeah, it's great that everyone got to share this lava dick coming out of the sky.
Just what all our kids need.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, this game is the metaverse. Like, while Meta spends all the money and makes all the noise, Epic is just quietly working its ass off, turning Fortnite into the metaverse. Here it is. We wondered what the metaverse was going to be, and Pac was on this all along. When everybody was like, who's going to get the metaverse? Who's going to get the He said Fortnite and Epic from day one, and he was right. This is the metaverse, people. And that's kind of the weird thing for me is, like, I'm starting to accept that I may have to be a part of Fortnite at some point. Because it's starting to evolve into something I actually am kind of interested in now.
I'm a little curious about the Lego game.
Yeah. Like, dude, people are gushing all over that. Like, they're calling it, like, the best survival game of the last, like, 3 years and stuff. Like, and that's just a little module inside Fortnite. Like, it is becoming way bigger than anyone could have ever guessed.
I'd love to see them overhaul the original game. Yeah. Like the zombie horde mode thing.
Oh, you mean like the tower defense stuff? Yeah. Dude, Cliff invented Fortnite.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Like,
no, he invented that part. But
he invented the part that nobody cared about and left.
Yeah, well, it's hard to even remember now that, like, the Fortnite we know as Fortnite was almost like this weird one-off free mode they threw in that was just sort of like, hey, PUBG's really popular. Let's see if we can clone that.
Yeah.
And, like,
booyakasha. Yeah. I mean, right there, perfect. Yeah, the B-roll right on time. I mean, it's hard to deny. And look, all my nieces play Fortnite. The girls play Fortnite. Mm-hmm. All my nephews play Fortnite.
Everybody plays Fortnite.
Like, last time I was home, my 8-year-old nephew started talking to me about aimbots and wall hacks. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm going to kill you if you're using wall hacks and aimbots. I hate people who cheat like that. And he's like, why? And I'm like, why are you cheating? He's like, because I want to score high. And I'm like, what good does that do if you're not doing it legitimate? It never even occurred to him.
It's not enough that I succeed. Others must fail.
Well, he's like 8. Yeah. So anyway, I've been really impressed with Fortnite this year. And again, like I was just talking about it on last week's show, like all my friends have kids and all their kids are into it. And now my friends are into it. Like, middle-aged dudes are like, I haven't been playing the Fortnite with my kids. Like, it really is starting to transcend into something that people like us are interested in, which I never thought it would ever get there. Yeah. So pretty amazing what they've done with Fortnite this year. So it wins my award for Best Game as a Service for 2023. Okay, that's it for the genre awards. So we've gone through all the genres at this point. Now it's more like specialized awards and, to be honest, some awards that have like runners-up and winners. And some of the more fun awards that we do too. So this is kind of where we're shifting gears with that stuff. And this is a perfect time for us to share a word from our sponsor, LS Cream. LS Cream is a fine cream liqueur created by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. It's inspired by an ancestral recipe from Haiti called Cray Mass, and a double gold winner for its original taste at the New York Wine and Spirit International Competition. LS Cream can be enjoyed on the rocks or as a mixer for drinks with its rich blend of fresh cream and neutral grain spirits with notes of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's great in coffee or to make espresso martinis. To learn more, discover amazing drink recipes, or to track down your own bottle using a handy store locator, head to creamls.com/sifted. That's creamls.com/sifted. Since this is the last live stream of 2023, I do want to take a minute to thank our sponsors. I want to thank LS Cream. They have been a sponsor with us for pretty much most of the year this year. And it has made a huge difference for us financially, and I just want to thank them. Not only that, I feel like our LS Cream sponsorship helped us get other sponsorships as well. I think people started to see how that works inside the show and wanted to be involved with it. And so I just want to thank LS Cream, Steve, everybody there. They're amazing people. They're awesome people. I'm very thankful for them and for their support throughout the entire year. Go to creamls.com/sifted, and please do that, because they kind of use that URL as a way to tell if like our sponsorship is actually working for them. So please go to the URL, creamls.com/sifted. As I've said many times, awesome drink recipes for the holidays there. Places to figure out how to buy it. You can buy it online. You can buy it locally. And also, I would just say, as someone who just really enjoys LS Cream, go buy some LS Cream. It is an amazing liqueur. It is perfect for the holidays. You won't regret it. Big thanks to LS Cream. And with that, it's time to move on with our awards. First up, Best Game Story. There's a lot of great stories this year in games, Matt. This is one of the harder categories for me to pick the winner of. I mean, ultimately, I feel like the winner was kind of head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah.
But even games that I didn't expect to be affected by their story, I was. Like Marvel Spider-Man 2. Like, I never would have guessed that there would be some of the moments in that game that there were. Like, I just feel like game creators in general are starting to get it. Mm-hmm. Like, they're getting rid of like the flim-flam, frivolous crap that have been stories in video games for a long time, and they're all at least trying to create something meaningful within the prose in their games. Like, I felt like for a long time, if a developer was working on a certain genre, they'd just be like, well, we don't have to worry about the story there. Like, I feel like that's all going away now. And story is becoming an important part of almost every genre. I mean, we're seeing it with, like, some of the puzzle games, the puzzle adventures that we're seeing now. Like, Talos Principle. Great story there. So,
even like Dave the Diver. Dave the Diver has a lot more narrative than you think that game is going to have.
A lot of the indie games now have great stories. Like, this is, to me, one of the areas where gaming is really evolving and really starting to appeal to older people like us. Like, they're not just writing stories for, like, 11-year-old boys anymore.
Well, some of that's because the people doing the work are also older.
That's true.
Like, they're trying to keep themselves interested.
Yeah, they want to be interested in the work that they're doing, and I think it's just paying dividends for everybody. So,
and you don't have to fight for that anymore. You know, like, there was a time when, like, the people calling the shots were like, we don't care about writing a story for this. Okay. But now I think that's expected in almost anything.
Yep. And all boats are rising. It's really great. So for me, it was tough this year to pick the best story of 2023, but Matt and I both thought about it really hard, and we both came to the same conclusion, and the best story of 2023 is Baldur's Gate 3. We kind of talked about it earlier.
Yeah, this was actually not hard for me, even with my kind of bounce off of Baldur's Gate 3. Because it's not just the story, it's the presentation and the narrative design and the branching everything and the way...
And the blood splatter all over their faces.
Right. Very Dragon Age. But
also continuity,
yeah.
let's be honest. But
it was just like... the achievement in narrative in this game is unparalleled. It's probably the greatest thing in the game.
Yeah.
It's probably,
I don't know how they did it.
I don't know. I mean,
I really don't.
Larian's done a lot of stuff like toying with that, but never to this degree. And like, if you're gonna go all in on this is the game to do it, because that's what D&D is.
Yeah.
At its heart, in terms of the social aspect of playing it and the storytelling aspect. I don't really foresee this becoming any kind of standard going forward, because it's just too hard.
You can't do it.
Like
that's why so many studios were whining.
Yeah.
Because they knew there was no way in hell they were ever going to be able to do it.
And I kind of dismissed the idea that anyone would hold things to this standard again, because this is a singular game. It's
right.
Like they had 7 years to make it.
Yeah.
It's a major IP.
Yep.
It's all this is the kind of game they've done forever. So they kind of were already primed to they can do the turn-based RPG in their sleep.
Yeah.
Kind of, and like figuring out a way to make it D&D narrative quality was sort of like the big challenge here, and they pull it off. But like then I played Rogue Trader this past week, which is kind of a it's an Infinity Engine sort of what you would think of as a Baldur's Gate 2 inspired sort of thing, with a lot of decision making from a 3/4 perspective, and there's turn-based like XCOM style combat and stuff, and it really feels primitive compared to this.
Yeah.
I like that it doesn't make me roll dice to say what I want to say, but the presentation and the brand, like, it just feels so old hat compared to this now.
They also, in this game, they develop characters so well. So, look, like, we were talking, was it last week's episode, we were talking about the one character, Astri, what's his name? Astarion. I hate him. I don't like him at all. But he's like, other people love him.
Yeah, well, he's a horrible person.
Right. But they've written the character so well.
He's very popular with the people like the bad boys, or just who want to fuck monsters. And like that. I mean, he's a vampire. But it's like, and like, I think you're not supposed to like. I mean, I think he's supposed to be a repulsive.
It worked on me. Like, the people in your party are very memorable. Whether you like them or not, that's a different story. But that's how real life works.
Yeah, I like them a lot better after they patched the horny thing.
Oh yeah,
where everyone was just like instantly like throwing themselves. Yeah. It's like, everybody fucking back.
Take a chill.
The first fucking camping scene. We don't need.
I ain't got enough rubbers for this party.
Even the Githyanki woman was like, I hate you and your embarrassment to everything, and you don't know what warriors are, but I don't understand why we're not fucking right now. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on?
Yep. It is great, but there are so many other great stories this year too. Like, for me, it was hard, but ultimately not that hard.
Yeah,
because
it's hard in terms of comparing the actual story qualities of like the narratives themselves, but in terms of achievement in story, Baldur's Gate 3 is beyond anything else.
It's a little bit like Mortal Kombat 1 for me, where it's like, man, that's really good, and I want to recognize it, but that's what happened with story. I'm like, man, there's these great stories. I want to say something, but they're not in the same class.
The actual mechanics of the thing that you're trying to award, there's no competition there.
Baldur's Gate 3, best story of 2023. I'm actually wondering, Matt, like, everyone's sitting watching this now, whether you're watching it on our stream and in chat, or you're watching this on YouTube, or you're listening to it, we're like, I'm wondering if people played Baldur's Gate 3. Because one thing I will say is, like, I haven't seen a whole lot of like sales data that says it is done like really well commercially.
Oh, it has.
Has it?
Well, if you're going by players, like I think I saw a figure of almost 10 million sold.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great. That's great to hear. I was really worried.
I don't know how. I haven't verified that, but as I understand it, it's done very
good.
Well.
I was worried, man. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, the other thing too is I don't see a lot of people on SIFTD like talking about it in reference to other games. Like, I usually can get a pretty good feel on the pulse for sales on a game.
Yeah, like I mean, Vincent points out that like it doesn't show up on NPD because Larian doesn't share digital sales and there's no physical copy.
Right. Yeah.
And Sound Wizard says it made more than the movie.
There you go. I mean, if there's one person who would know, it would be someone who worked on the game, Sound Wizard.
And also, like, Vincent makes another good point. A lot of the sales happened during early access.
That's true.
So it's a little. I mean, I bought it 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, you owned it for a long time before it actually got to 1.0.
But like I mean, I saw the Larian guy talking about it. I saw people who were like analysts talking about it in conjunction, because like the Larian guy in his like speech he wanted to give talked about how most of the people they worked with at Hasbro are gone now because they were all laid off in that huge, cutback layoff that they just did for 1,100 people or something, and almost all the people who greenlit, negotiated the deal, and helped make the Game of the Year 2023 do not have their jobs anymore.
That's just pathetic. That's the biggest. Like,
and I'll bet you the people that greenlit the fucking movie still do.
Yeah,
it's a different industry.
Something's got to change in our industry.
Like,
with
that's Hasbro. Like Hasbro, instead of cutting the salaries for a bunch of their top executives, laid off 1,100 people who definitely were not the reason the sales were low.
No.
That's not what's happening.
It's the executives who made the decisions on what to greenlight.
Exactly.
But they're not the ones who lose their jobs a lot of the time. So
I have seen Nintendo brought up in conjunction with it, where there was that period where they were down from the Wii U, and Miyamoto and Iwata and those guys all took huge salary cuts.
Right, that's
so
right.
they wouldn't have to fire anybody.
That's right.
And
only in Japan would that happen.
That's what leadership. I mean, not even often in Japan.
No, you're right.
That was a very singular move.
Yeah.
But that is leadership.
Yeah, it is.
You don't see very often.
That's the leadership that you look up to and you want to work hard for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there you go. That's our pick for Best Story of 2023. Next up, a fun category that we call Future Legend. I feel like people maybe struggle to understand what this is, but very simply, it's just like, what is the one game from 2023 that people will still be obsessing over and talking about 20, 30 years from now? When everybody looks back at 2023, which was a great year for game releases, what is that game that everyone's going to talk about and remember that came out in 2023? Matt, what is your pick for Future Legend?
Baldur's Gate 3.
And why do you think that people are going to remember this so many years in advance?
Because
or in the future?
Kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier about how everything that happens in this game, when you talk to someone else who's also played it, you're talking about different things. Yeah. You're like, oh, that happened. When I did this, and this happened, and then this happened, and I had to do that. And that's nothing like what. And I can 100% see people going back and in 10, 15 years reminiscing about it when Baldur's Gate 3 Remastered Edition or whatever comes out. And it's like, oh, I remember the first time I played this, and this happened, and then Astarion accidentally killed me, and then I resurrected myself, and it's just, it lends itself to the storytelling and nostalgic sort of reminiscing of like how crazy everything got and how different it was.
Yeah.
And I think it is, in spite of the complaints of the developers when it first came out, it is going to influence how RPG stories are done in the future.
People will try to
they're
reach
gonna try
that zenith.
or at least they're going to try to incorporate elements that simulate it in some way. So even people who are into RPGs in general over the next 10, 15 years, I think you're going to go back to Baldur's Gate 3 as when things sort of pivoted on that dime.
Okay.
So I just with like the amount of fan fiction, the amount of fan art, the amount of bizarre horny posting,
those are legitimate metrics.
Those are all things that are going to last for a long time. Their kids are 13, 14 playing this game right now. Maybe they shouldn't be, but they are.
They shouldn't.
And they're going to go back and talk about it later. And I think this is also because of the quality of it is going to be one. And maybe Larian will continue to make games of this level, but I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, love it, hate it, whatever. There's nothing else like Skyrim. Yeah. There's going to be nothing else like a Larian D&D game.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think people are going to go back to this first one. And I'll tell you this much. I guarantee you one of the things that Hasbro regrets is calling it Baldur's Gate 3.
How come?
Because the idea that it's the third in a series and the other two are not viable things to bring forward.
Right.
It's not. They aren't remotely the same game.
Yeah. That's true.
They are simulating D&D pretty well, but it's a different D&D. It wouldn't work today.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is remake those games. Yeah. Which would be a waste of Larian's talents. I'd like to see them do.
Give it to somebody else.
I know one of the lead guys said they'd like to do Star Wars, and yes, please.
Whoa! Imagine that.
That's a Code War 3 I could get behind.
That absolutely, yeah. So. Obviously, I definitely considered Baldur's Gate 3. It is the Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and I think probably in general, I think most people will end up considering Baldur's Gate 3 as the Game of the Year. Do you think, actually?
I think it's up there. I think
for this year?
I would think so. Vincent says you think the next release from Larian is going to be... How big do you think it's going to be? Probably launching EA in 25, 26. I think it'll be big. I think at the very least, I think it will launch on Xbox at the same time as PlayStation. I don't think
that's what I want to. That's actually one thing I'm going to get at here. So I did not pick Baldur's Gate 3 for my future Legend. I picked The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and I'll explain why. One of it is that Baldur's Gate 3 originally launched on PC. There was a little bit of a wait. Then it was out for PS5. Then a long wait and out for Xbox. I feel like in 2023 it may miss a lot of the audience. Now, granted, Tears of the Kingdom only available for one platform, but that platform has, 150 million install base or something?
I believe Baldur's Gate has outsold this.
Has it?
That's what I heard.
Wait, it outsold Zelda?
That's what I heard.
Wow.
I don't know if it's
Well, that
true.
would honestly change my opinion on this, because I base most of this on the fact that I thought Zelda sold maybe double what Baldur's Gate 3
Not
did.
even close.
Wow. That blows my
They're
mind.
neck and neck, if anything.
That blows my mind.
Baldur's Gate sold obscenely well.
That's great. That's amazing to hear. It felt to me, I mean, again...
This is hearsay from people I know who work in toys.
Yeah.
So I don't know how accurate it is.
Yep.
But multiple people I know have said, no, Baldur's Gate 3 is a fucking firestorm.
That's great.
In the toy
That's
industry.
good to hear.
In part because it's like Hasbro had this really great year in all these areas, and they still fired 1,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not like being told as like a positive thing. It's more like that. The information of that seems to be getting around mostly because everybody's so mad at Hasbro in the.
So like, we made all this money off this game.
Yeah, like we know you did this. So how come the people that made you that money got fired?
Yeah, okay,
kind of thing.
I hear you. I just know anecdotally, just being on SIFTD every day, just being there, it appears that like Zelda has sold like three to one.
Sound Wizard says, heard from a producer it sold more than all the Transformers movies combined.
So generated more revenue than
Probably more revenue, yeah. Because that would be what they're comparing in the toy business.
That can't... You mean the money that they made off the movies... Not the gross, because there's no way...
Box office gross would be billions.
There's no way, yeah. There's no way that Baldur's Gate 3 has outdone the revenue the movies generated. Maybe with the cut that Hasbro got from the
might
revenue.
be, yeah, but like, I mean, I'm trying to mentally add up all the box office totals. that comes out to something like
10 billion or something?
No, it's not that much, but it's like... billion, almost $1 billion, plus that $1 billion, $3 billion. But you're talking $5 billion at that point.
And there's no way Baldur's Gate's made that.
Plus,
the cut maybe though.
Like $2 million from the '86 movie.
Right.
Let's not forget that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Let's not forget.
Anecdotally, having been on SIFTD, like way more people talk about Tears of the Kingdom than talk about Baldur's Gate 3.
I think the thing about Baldur's Gate is I know people that I know don't play games like that and don't play big epic games and don't have time for things that aren't like smaller like mobile games, and they played Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
Usually on PS5.
Okay.
But like,
well, I'm glad to hear that. Like that it's selling that well.
And I know a lot of tabletop RPG people who. I know a couple people bought a PS5 for it. Yeah, because they love.
I mean,
D&D,
they should. It's that good.
Like I heard this was like almost flawless recreation. I'm like, it is.
Yeah.
It's got an asshole DM, but you can get around that.
It just feels like in the pop culture lexicon on social media, it just seems like Tears of the Kingdom is game of the year. Like as far as like the average consumer, the game that everybody played the most. Like for example, Michael Pachter played Tears of the Kingdom for 150 hours. Like me trying to get Pachter to play a console game anymore is like pulling teeth. Like I bought him a PlayStation 5 for Christmas. He didn't even open it for like 5 months. I would go there to shoot and it would still be sitting in the box under his TV. I'm like, you can never turn that thing on? He played Tears of the Kingdom for 150 hours. He drives me crazy. When we go to shoot, we'll have a question that has nothing to do with Zelda, nothing to do with Nintendo, and somehow he will find a way to go on like a 15 or 20-minute diatribe about hunting a goblin in like Tears of the... It's crazy. Like it took over his life.
I mean, I'm telling you, like that should be the YouTube shorts.
Right.
You just cut down his weird like rambles about that shit, and just make those.
Yeah. It's just so, again, being in the industry, running a website, looking at your comments, seeing like how many views stuff gets, like in our back end.
I think Nixie Twall's right. Like Baldur's Gate saturated online discourse and pop culture for like a month. Yeah. And if you ask an average non-gamer person right now, they have generally heard of Baldur's Gate more than Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
Tears of the Kingdom.
It's hard for me to believe. It really is.
Because you're ensconced in the gamer space. My people I know who are not like hardcore gamers, they don't fucking know that game came out.
What, Zelda?
Zelda. Like it's, or they think it's also, they just think it's Breath of the Wild.
Interesting.
Like it's weird. Like, and I was like, no, you have to do all these, build these things and stuff. And they're like, no, I thought I played that, but I guess I just it was kids. I thought the kids were playing that, but I guess they were playing Breath of the Wild again or something.
Weird.
I had a conversation about that, and I was like, no, were they gluing like contraptions together and driving like cars and flying like wind? And they're like, oh no, there's nothing like that. I was like, I mean, it's weird to me too, but like Tears of the Kingdom like didn't really penetrate beyond the Switch audience.
Interesting.
Which you'd think would be big enough to still be huge. But
I mean, it sold like 20-some million already.
Yeah. But I just haven't heard anyone outside of the general like gamer world talk about it much, and that's not true of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, like in 2017 when I went home for Christmas, that's all anyone was talking about was Breath of the Wild. Like people I'd never heard talk.
I would
about
agree that
before.
Breath of the Wild definitely hit harder than Tears of the Kingdom. No doubt about that.
And maybe a similar thing will happen with like Baldur's Gate 4 or whatever,
Maybe.
where like it's just whatever the hotness is that year. And people, it's not like there's anything bad about Baldur's Gate 4 or Tears of the Kingdom. It's just, it wasn't the hotness.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I still think Zelda has more cachet. I still think 20 years from now, when people think of this year, I think they'll think of Tears of the Kingdom.
What I think is, I don't think that's true, because I think Baldur's Gate will have its formula iterated on, at least by Larian, if not by other developers.
Where Zelda won't.
Like, they're probably not going to do that again. It's going to be kind of this.
They may not even do it again.
Like, it might be like a Majora's Mask thing, where people sort of talk about that one weird one where you could build cars. It's
possible.
I don't know. Like, oh my!
It was a tough choice. Don't
in the
get me
middle
wrong.
of saying that, I just pictured like spiders attempting a Baldur's Gate 3 narrative branching. I was like, oh my god, what would that even be?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
A tiny blip in history says maybe they should go back to 2D Zelda. I wouldn't say 2D, but I sure would like a more like curated, guided Zelda instead of the open world thing. But doesn't look like that's happening. So two different picks for Future Legend. Matt picks Baldur's Gate 3. I picked The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Next up, another fun
your pick does have the word legend in it. So.
I didn't even think about that. That's funny. Some more fun categories. Most pleasant surprise. This is a game where look at that. Sound Wizard said, I can't even walk around with my Baldur's Gate 3 Dev t-shirt without being accosted. It's bizarre. That's great. That's great to hear. I didn't know that they made t-shirts. I would like one. Well, you have to be a dev. Yeah, I guess you do. Yep. I don't deserve one. Next up is most pleasant surprise, and this isn't like the game that we thought was the best of the year or anything like that. This is the game where we went in with a certain level of expectations, and then we played the game and we realized our expectations were bullshit, and it ended up being way better than we ever thought it would be. And Matt, what is your pick for the most pleasant surprise of 2023? It was RoboCop Rogue City. Yep. Really wasn't ready for this one. I don't think anybody was. I mean, I downloaded the demo of this because I figured if I play the demo, I probably won't have to buy it. Right. And it was big. We can talk about it and it'll be done. Because I heard it was a pretty meaty demo. So I'm like, okay, I probably got enough of a sense of the game that I don't need to shell out money for this. And then it was great. Yeah. And I'm like, what the... It reminds me, it always reminds me, I probably said it when we talked about it originally, but it reminds me, there's an old Penny Arcade comic where Gabe is playing the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Xbox game, which was very good. It was by the Collective. It was good. It was good. Yeah. And he calls to Tycho, he goes, hey, get in here, this Buffy game is great, and I don't know why. And I'm like, that's what RoboCop is to me. It's like, what is going on? Yeah. Why is this so good? And... yeah, so like this was it. Like I was surprised in the sense of like, oh, they made a good RoboCop game. I was like, oh, this is like a really interesting kind of action shooter RPG thing. Yeah. And like as you get deeper into it, it's like, oh, there's dialogue choice. Oh, the dialogue choices, they remember them. Yeah. Like which directive you support the most matters later. All that stuff caught me off guard. Yeah, like the weird psychological testing thing that happens at the like there's therapy sessions and stuff, and you're like, none of this needs to be in this game, but it's here anyway. And it's awesome. It's great. Yeah. I mean, this is easily a good... I mean, look, I'm not arguing. This is a great pick for most pleasant surprise in 2020. Yeah. It also caught me crazy off guard. There were a number of nice surprises this year. There were, which is great. Like Dave the Diver's in there. Yeah. Everspace 2 is in there. I mean, for me, Marvel Spider-Man 2 was a pleasant surprise. It was better than I even thought it was going to be. There's a lot of them. Like, it doesn't just have to be like a game that you thought was going to suck that didn't suck. Yeah. Like, there can be games you're like, I think that's probably going to be pretty good. And then you play it and it blows your mind. Mm-hmm. And that is my pick for the pleasant surprise of 2023. My pick is Pikmin 4. I had pretty much written off this franchise Pikmin 3 didn't really hit me at all. I felt like they had run out of ideas, and just the creativity in it was disappointing compared to the prior two games. They had kind of figured out like the quality of life stuff in Pikmin 2, and then it seemed like they didn't know what to do with Pikmin 3. They're just like, oh, we'll just make another Pikmin 2, basically. And then we get the long wait, and we thought the game might be canceled, and Miyamoto said, oh, it's been done for 2 years already. And we're like, well, where is it? Like, my expectations for this game were basically at rock bottom. And then we got the first trailer for it, and I thought the game looked like ass. Like, graphically, I thought it looked terrible. And I was like, okay, I was right. Pikmin 4 is going to be a piece of crap, and nobody's going to care, and it's going to come and go, and they're using it to fill a hole in the release calendar. And then I played it, and it is easily the best Pikmin game ever, easily the most innovative Pikmin game of all time. I thought they had fixed all the quality of life stuff. They hadn't. Like, I hadn't even realized the stuff that was annoying me in the prior games until they fixed it in this one. It's the perfect Pikmin game. They did an amazing job with it. They took away all the stuff that annoyed the crap out of me. They took the stuff that I really liked about it and enhanced it. Like, I like the combat in Pikmin because it's unlike anything else, and they made great strides to make that more interesting and more fun. As we talked about the dog and all the changes that he makes to the core of the game, just incredible. Like, my expectations were so low, and it is, I'll just say it right now, it's one of my picks for Game of the Year, people. Pikmin 4 is one of my favorite games of 2023, period. It's been pleasantly surprising, over the last couple days as other publications have started putting out their Game of the Year awards to see that there are other people out there like me who were like, hot damn, Pikmin 4 is one of the best damn games of the year. I think Polygon, it's like their 6th Game of the Year or whatever. Because I think they do their Game of the Year. It's just like the top 50 games from the year. And it's at like 6 or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'm not crazy for thinking that this game is one of the best games that I played in 2023. It's incredible. Again, go get it if you haven't got it. I know you may have been like, oh, I played the first Pikmin. I didn't like it that much. You may like this one still. Even if you hated the first Pikmin, that's how much has changed from the first one.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the first Pikmin because of the time limits.
Right. It was annoying AF. And I think that turned a lot of people off to the franchise, maybe forever.
Yeah, they don't. I think many people maybe don't realize that it's not
like that anymore. Yeah, it hasn't been that way for a long time. But if you gave up,
hard to get across because like that was basically the whole thrust of the first game.
Yeah,
like that was basically
it.
The whole
that
thing.
was the core design
like,
of the game.
Play this game against like 2 different clocks. Really, you're against the daytime clock and you're against the clock of escaping the planet.
Yeah.
And there were points of no return, and they were basically soft locks.
Yeah, you're right. Game. One of my big goals of this Game Awards show is to impart upon you how good Pikmin 4 is. If you haven't figured it out yet, I do have a little bit of an agenda with this show, and that is to make you understand how good Pikmin 4 is. I feel like I talked about it when I played it, and you guys were just like, whatever, Shane's being crazy, or whatever. I'm not. It's amazing. I am crazy sometimes, but not about Pikmin 4.
Still crazy.
Crazy. So anyway, our picks for most pleasant surprise of 2023, Mac chose RoboCop again, my runner-up easily. Like, I literally thought about which one for like an hour before I settled on Pikmin 4.
Yeah, my runner-up would be Dave the Diver.
Yeah, just another one too.
One of those out of nowhere. It's like, oh, wow.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
And a sushi restaurant. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Another good
and then they just keep introducing more and more stuff, and now you get Dredge.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah. Dredge is also a game that I did not get to play this year that I regret.
Yeah.
So this whole week I've been like seeing like what did I miss? Like what stuff like that flew under my radar that I totally should have played, and Dredge was the one game that kept coming back. I never played it.
An inventive way of doing a Lovecraft story with the weird,
boating.
Boating. Anytime you can remember that the sea is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably going to at least be partly in.
Yeah.
So, no, Dredge is great. Crossover with Dave the Diver is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it's so, you could not have more different tones.
But
like having Dave just sit there and react to it like Dave reacts to everything is great.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually give Dave the Diver any awards this year, but it was one of my favorite things of the year. It just didn't hit the top spot in any.
We've talked about it a bunch though, so I think we've done our due diligence on it at least. Okay, up next, most disappointing game, another very fun category. Mm-hmm. This is kind of the exact opposite. This is the game that we had high hopes for, and then we played it. It fell way short of our expectations. And so, Matt, what was your most disappointing game of 2023?
I almost picked the same thing you did.
Okay.
But instead, I had to go with the thing that just shocked me. And it's Forza Motorsport.
Yep.
I was just stunned by how much I didn't like this.
You know what stunned me the most? I wasn't surprised that it was like dry and kind of dull.
It's Motorsport, it's not Horizon.
I was surprised how broken it is. How many bugs there are in the game.
It's not a complete package to me.
The game's been in development for like 5 years.
It's bizarre.
What the hell?
And they used to churn these out every 2.
I know.
And they were way more. There was way
they
more
were better.
game.
Yes. I don't get it either. It is a huge disappointment for. I mean, I feel like it's almost just turned into like a tech showcase for Xbox Series
X.
X.
There's I watched the Digital Foundry like GT7 versus Forza thing.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And in the end, GT7 did come out on top.
Yep.
And as someone who is a huge Forza fan and doesn't particularly like Gran Turismo, I agree.
Oh yeah,
like Gran Turismo
too.
Pops in a way that this doesn't, and maybe they're going for. I mean, I know in the Digital Foundry thing they say that Forza is going for a more kind of realistic, grayer, flatter look, like a real life camera shot, whereas GT's going for a poppy, sort of more color laden.
Yeah.
And I think Gran Turismo got it right.
I do too.
I think it's way more attractive.
I agree.
And like they were comparing the paint jobs on this. All the cars in this look like they're matte painted, as opposed to like the shiny, like reflective coating that not just GT7 did. But Forza Horizon 5 did. Like I don't understand why it feels like they broke some kind of setting on this or something.
And then they give the head of their studio, they promote him to the head of all their first party studios.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, he may be a great guy and a great manager, but I mean, when the rubber hits the road, pun intended, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, I certainly would. I mean, on the back of everything they've made until now, I would agree with it. But
they had 5 years to make this, and
this was 6 years.
My gosh, that's
every other. I mean, I've loved Forza since the first one, the very first one, and Horizon since the first one.
Yeah.
I've been into this series since the first time they put Forza Motorsport 1 out on the original Xbox.
Yeah,
I have all of them, and every 2 years, like clockwork, they put another Forza out. And the only time they've taken more than 2 years was this one.
It's the worst one.
Everything's missing. Like what?
I don't know. A huge disappointment. I hope we're not headed the same way with Hellblade 2 next year. I'm getting those vibes already, Matt.
I mean, I'm not. I definitely had my expectations tempered by that Game Awards trailer.
Me too.
But I don't see how you let me down the way this let me down with that.
Because my hype for Hellblade 2 is already a little subdued at this point. So
yeah, but it's just also I don't know how you mess up like that with Hellblade and not the way this did. It's because it's not like you have like a long chain of Hellblade sequels that each did this great stuff and up the ante and up the ante and up the ante, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, she's just punching people in this one. I don't know.
No, it is apples and oranges. Yeah, you're right.
And for some reason, she has to do a practice swing every time she attacks somebody. I don't know what that 3 times. It takes forever.
Yeah,
that's the dumbest thing in this game. It's like you gotta do the practice laps.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's a commitment to play this game, even to play online. It's like you can't just join a race and play it and race people. You have to sit and wait for the actual like tournament to start.
And
it's
I know that's like realistic. Like you do that in a real race, but I'm not here to do real racing.
That's the thing. Like realism isn't always fun.
I know how to drive Suzuka. I've done it 100 fucking times in these games. Like, just let me go.
Yep. So I hear you. That's a good pick. That was my runner-up, was Forza Motorsport. But my winner, and the one that you said was your runner-up, and the one that you waffled on for quite a while, is Starfield. And I hate to admit it, because I like Starfield, and I think it's a good game, but my expectations for it were way higher than where it ended up. Like, I drafted it first overall this year. It ended up with like an 83 or an 82. Like, I didn't draft my first pick. I didn't draft it thinking it was going to get an 82 or an 83.
No.
I drafted it.
Now, to be fair, I remember when we did.
We talked about it.
I was like, I would have picked Starfield for a few more picks because I wasn't sure about how it was. I figured it was either going to be like 90 or like 70.
Yeah, and it ended up in the middle.
It wasn't that extreme. And even I mean, obviously I liked it. I gave it best RPG. Yeah. But it also is in the running for most disappointing.
It's like so we saw No Man's Sky earlier. Mm-hmm. It boggles my mind that Bethesda's team couldn't get space travel to work like that 12-person team did. Like, it's just, again, it's a great game. I really enjoyed playing it. I spent 40 or 50 hours with it, but it still wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Maybe here's the thing, though. Maybe someday it will be. Yeah, because Bethesda will not give up. It will keep supporting this game.
The big disappointment for me on this one was how detached I felt from the space travel.
Yeah.
And I thought it wouldn't matter that it's a cutscene where you take off and land, but it does.
It does, yep.
like keeping me connected to the ship when you're doing that and seeing the transition from the atmosphere to space, that's really important. And I kept thinking about this because Star Wars Outlaws is using a non-player controlled takeoff in that thing, but the takeoff is seamless.
Yep.
The ship is taking off and going through the cloud cover and coming out into space.
Yep.
This is just a cutaway.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that matters.
Well,
and I don't think I knew that until I played this game, but it does.
I mean, I didn't know going into this that you weren't going to be able to fly across the planets. Like, I didn't realize that you're...
I did know that.
I didn't know that. Like, I try to have not as little information as possible when I go in to evaluate games, and so I didn't know a lot about this game, and I was surprised that I couldn't just get in a ship and fly across the stinking planet.
I knew that just from watching the footage they put out.
You had figured it out.
I'd figured it out both because for two reasons. First, if you could do that, they would have shown that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Second, especially when maybe this is more of when you get your hands on it and play it for a while thing. It's not until then that you realize how obvious it is that you've just pieced together all the pieces of the other Bethesda games into and the reason you can't fly over the landscape is because there's no functionality to do that in any other.
It's not in
Bethesda
the engine.
game.
Yeah,
it's like that thing where it's like they wanted to put the subway train in the Fallout 3 DLC, but there was no thing to do that. So the trains in Fallout 3 are a character model with a train for a head, and if you look under the tracks, there's just a little body running along on the train. Like that's literally how they did that.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of, and you can't solve. I mean, I guess you could have a really tall guy running with a spaceship on his head and make the guy invisible.
I just figured in like 8 years you might be able to solve some of those problems, but
I mean, like I said, I've said before, this was the game to solve that in. Yeah. Same with the repeated, the fact that there's only one configuration for each type of building that you can run into it's madness.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
The same corpse is on the same stairwell every time. It's ridiculous.
And look, again, I don't want to I'm not bagging the game. I'm trying to say it's not a good game.
I loved it.
I still love the time I spent with it, but my expectations for it were like sky high, and they ended up the reality of the game was somewhere around like here. So
mine were not as sky high, I think, but like. It still let me down in a number of places.
It stung a little bit.
And in a place, the space stuff, that's very important to me, as we know.
I think it's important to everybody, though. It's a big part of the game, or it's supposed to be.
I'd love to see them work on it and get it up to some level where it feels a little more organic or a little more like you're connected to the world taking
or like you're there.
I mean, I haven't, because of the fast travel that's in how pointless those takeoff and landing things are. I haven't seen a takeoff and landing in Starfield in probably 40 hours.
Yeah.
It's useless.
Yeah. So there you go.
Also, Shore F had an interesting thing. I mean, Shore F is a dev, knows some stuff.
Teddy 6008, man, welcome to GameFace. We're here every Tuesday at 1.
And he says the main reason Turn 10 has failed this much is because they've changed how they hire people. They don't hire anyone other than leads. Anyone senior and lower is contracted, which doesn't help in retaining employees. I haven't seen a single job post from Turn 10 for 2 years below lead level. That's telling. That's an important insight.
It is. Yep.
Both this title from Turn 10 and Halo Infinite show that this model doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I would agree from an outside perspective there.
Yep. So there you go. Those are our picks for most disappointing game. Another fun category. Next up, biggest news story of 2023. And there were so many. This was almost impossible to pick. There's a lot of big, crazy news items in 2023. But
I wore this shirt because I thought that was going to be your pick.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, as soon as I opened up the door when I got here, I was like,
E3. I actually made this shirt. I skinned E3's corpse and made this. This is the election.
What year is that from?
That's from
it says 06. Oh, wow.
06?
That's really OG.
This is the second year we did it live.
Yeah.
So the first one was E305 live, which is a great synergy on the rhyming, and then E306 live. Fuck it,
That was I had just left. I had been gone for like 2 months. Yeah.
And I think this was the first year, the year after we did the press conferences live. I think the first time.
It is. Yep. I know that for a fact.
The Halo 3 debacle.
Yeah. We'll just swipe that one under the rug. Okay, what's your pick for the biggest news story of the year, Matt?
I picked Embracer's ongoing collapse, just because it is affecting so many people.
Just more layoffs today, in fact.
Yep.
3D Realms just got a bunch of layoffs today. Another smaller studio today.
Those are yesterday.
Free Radical Design.
Free Radical's gone.
Lost last week.
I'm worried about them hitting, like, there's a couple other ones. What was it?
Volition's gone. Saints
gone.
Row team.
I'm worried about THQ Nordic.
Yep.
They have a bunch of stuff I like, and they're probably next on the chopping
I mean, all of them are. All of them are.
I mean, they're all going to get cut down because, I mean, the goal here was just to build up a stable of perceived valuable things and sell them off for
couldn't turn down.
Sell them off for billions of dollars to Amazon or Google or somebody, and then
make like $1 billion
none
profit.
of them took the bait, and they tried that last minute try to save the thing with a cash infusion from the Saudis, and even the Saudis weren't interested.
Yeah, and when they say no, you're screwed.
I mean, these people gave billions of dollars to Jared.
Dude, they'll give money to anything. It's scary.
But not this. Something about Embracer made them go like, no, that's not a good idea. And that's how you know it's a bad idea.
I mean, consequence-wise, that's the biggest story of the year. Because it's affecting so many people. Thousands and thousands of people.
None of those jobs don't have replacements or other equivalent openings or anything. Like these are all just things that are just going away.
Yeah, where do you go? Like, if you're a game developer and there's no jobs, what do you do?
Like, your game industry can't absorb 1,100 jobs.
Yeah. I mean, but your skills, it's like they're so specific to making video games. You can go into CG and work on films and stuff.
Yeah, well, some of my developer friends say they've in bad times switched over to basically like app development,
web development,
or general, like business program development. Like, you could program, it's programming. If you're a programmer, if you're an artist, obviously, is a different deal. But like, I know several people that worked in like Assassin's Creed that went over, they did accounting software for a while and then came back to the industry when they found a job at a place that wasn't going to treat them the way Ubisoft did. But like,
you got to feel a lot of employers probably would be like, oh, I'm not hiring you because I know as soon as you find another job in the games industry, you're gone. And I don't blame you. Yeah, I would do the same thing.
It depends. Like, usually, from what I understand, at least from, this was a while ago, but like from they were desirable because they work faster.
Oh, and they work hard.
So it was like,
and they don't complain about working overtime.
They won't complain, because if you're working on databases, there's no crunch time for that usually, unless you're in a very specific thing. So it was almost like a couple of my friends who used to work like UB and EA and Activision were like, oh, it was like a vacation. Like it was actually really, really easy because it's just sort of this constant grind of updating and maintaining this same database program or accounting software.
Spend like an hour a day working.
Yeah, I was like, it's like as long as you delivered, it was fine.
Yeah.
And
because here's the thing, most people don't know how long it takes to do most tech work.
Right, and then but it was the thing. Like, but you're right in that like eventually they felt that itch of like, I want to make something cool or that I love or am passionate about.
Yep.
That's how you always end up back in that industry that mistreated you.
That's true. You just love doing it.
It's true of everything.
It's the abusive
film,
relationship.
TV, comics.
It really is. Yep. Okay, my pick for the biggest news story of 2023 is the discovery process for the Activision Blizzard acquisition hearings, where the industry's darkest secrets were being revealed for everyone. Phil Spencer wanting to buy Nintendo.
This was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
Because you really got to see...
Because you're like, you put that in an email? Some shit you just talk about out loud and never write down.
You don't put it in an email. Like, dude, your first year working in corporate America, you know that there's just some things you never ever put in an email. You go to that person's desk or that person's office and you talk about it in person. You never ever have any proof that was ever discussed or anything. And these games industry people were just like...
Well, some of these people are clearly, they're so high up and they're so rich they think they're
untouchable.
Yeah.
That was I mean, the whole thing was just like a cavalcade of eye-opening moments.
As that elf repeatedly said in Battle for Middle-earth 2, oh, the hubris.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just like getting into like PlayStation's emails and seeing how they were looking at Xbox and like it was crazy. Like, we will never ever get another look like that behind the walls of the industry. It just won't happen.
It was like when that Sony Pictures leak happened and you saw everything they were saying about the dumb shit they were doing with the Spider-Man movies and everything.
Yeah. And it's like, it wasn't just Microsoft. It was...
It's amazing because like, you'd think that would have a little more like of a knock-on effect with people where you're like, these people get paid 6-7 figures and they're fucking morons. Like, what?
They're all still employed.
Yeah, they're all
their
still
job.
there, even after this came out. You're like,
I know.
How do you look at that guy in the hallway again?
Yeah, I mean, it was some juicy stuff,
dude?
man.
Like,
it was just every day. It was just something else that you couldn't believe.
like, how would you walk by Phil Spencer the next day and not be like, in an email, huh?
You put it in an email.
You got a phone right there on your desk.
You're the CEO of Xbox, and you put it in the
You're going to put it in a thing that guarantees it's stored on a server forever. That was your plan. Okay.
I mean, it was just a treasure trove of stuff like this that you just couldn't believe. One thing after another, like, it was nuts. So it's over now. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that ever again because
we'll see.
I don't know. Well, one, I think
this was a very unique situation where you had to dig all that stuff out without some kind of illegal thing happening already.
One, two. Like, just an acquisition of this size will never happen again. There will never be discovery like this ever again.
I mean, the Sony thing was hackers digging all that stuff up and everything.
True.
So, like, there's
other ways.
But there's always sort of there was a
people are going to learn from it too. They're not going to do this now.
But there was also a little bit of, I guess it was a little more of an unbridled glee to this one because it was all on the up and up and legal. Like, you didn't have to feel bad that someone got compromised by a hacker or something.
Yeah.
It's like nope, this is
just how it works.
This is just how it works. It's
and
all,
these people were dumb.
Like, you all got, you know.
Yep. So there you go. Those are our picks for the biggest news stories of 2023. Next up, another fun category. Well, in some kind of ways, this is the worst game we played. Now, the we played part is very important because this isn't us saying like this is definitively the worst game that was released in 2023. The truth of the matter is that Matt and I luckily did not play all the worst games that were released in 20. A couple, but not all of them. And so this is just the worst game that we played this year. Matt, what is your pick? What's the worst game you played in 2023?
The worst game I played was Wanted Dead.
That's certainly high up on my list.
This game blows.
Yep.
Like, there's not really any other way to say it. It's like on every conceivable level, this is a terrible game.
Every metric that you could measure a game by, this game was poor at it.
Yeah, it's awful. Like, it controls bad, the combat's bad, the story is terrible, the voice acting's terrible, the writing's terrible, the graphics are bad, the music's stupid. Like, there's nothing to recommend anything in here.
Just look at this combat. It looks like an unfinished game that was never released. It looks like some game that you'd be like, oh, I can see why that one never came out.
Yeah, you're like, did I get the beta by accident? Like, what is this?
The funny part about this, Matt, is that there are Wanted Dead stands.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's like they're oh, everyone else is wrong and I'm right. It's the best game that came out this year.
You can just like shitty things.
Yeah, just admit it when you like shitty things. It's okay.
I like bad movies and bad games.
I like bad. There's a lot of bad stuff that I like, but I recognize that it's bad and I have a weakness.
Yeah.
And this is.
I go back to it all the time. I love the movie Equilibrium. That movie's terrible. It's like a 12-year-old's retelling of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. It's ridiculously dumb. But I love every fucking minute of it. It's
Notice the animation when they go from like hands down to gun up, it's 2 frames.
Yeah.
It literally goes from arms to the side, arms pointing forward in like 1 frame. Like, yeah, this is easily one of the worst games of 2023 without a doubt.
This is also another one of those games where you have to go up certain skill trees to make your character baseline functional
or fun to play as.
Oh no, it's never fun to play as.
Even
but
then,
like, once you get, I don't remember which ones they are, but there's certain skills in defense and offense, and once you get up to like a certain level, you can your character finally doesn't die randomly. Basically, like they have the ability to survive the things the game throws at you.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a terrible game.
The one thing I liked about this game was it was a nice final like point to confirmation proof thing of like, this is why I don't have to sit here and explain myself when you ask me why I'm not excited about the next Team Ninja game.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
been a long time since Itagaki was there.
It has been, yeah. And Yosuke Hayashi, it does feel like he's
not
allowed.
That this is all that much worse than Devil's Third.
That's true, actually. Those are comparable games.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe that's an old Itagaki game that they had banging around. Seriously, it may be.
Like dueling concepts of this is what Devil's Third was meant to be.
Right. That's a good pick. Wanted Dead, a good pick for worst game that you played, for sure. My pick for the worst game that I played, and there was like 3 that I had to choose from, but for me, the absolute worst was The Lord of the Rings Gollum. And this game I would not be surprised at all, Matt, if
I didn't play this, so
okay.
I might agree with you. I don't know.
I would not be surprised if eventually it comes out that this game was actually a game that had been in development back in like the PlayStation 2 era, and they had gotten a long ways away along with it and bailed on it for whatever reason, and were like, look, we have this game, it's been banging around our servers for 8 years, we can work on it for 18 months, polish it up, get it to a good place, and get it out easily, cash in, because here's the thing, Embracer owns the Lord of the Rings license. It has done nothing with it.
Well, from what I understand, this was basically the only thing they could think of.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
They knew they had the license, and they were trying to figure out another thing to do with the license, and this was what they came up with.
Well, the studio's gone, so that tells you all you need to know. But literally, this game, it's not even that it looks bad, which it does, but it literally plays like a game from the 90s, when people were just figuring out how characters interact with 3D worlds.
It does make me think of like that Fellowship of the Ring game that came out around the time of the movies, but was not based on the movies. It was like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Because the book license and the movie license were different.
Yeah.
And like you played that one, it was like trying to be like some kind of like action RPG, but it was just like nothing worked right and everything was very slippery. I can't remember who made that. That was one of those companies that made like third string games. It was around all the time and is gone now, but I can't remember. It was. I'll know it as soon as I hear it.
A story untold, because nobody wants to hear it. That's why the story is untold. Like, I actually have like a soft spot for Schmeagol. Like, throughout my entire life, I felt bad for him. I like him as a character, but this game was just so bad on so many levels.
Why did they give him the wispy emo hair?
Dude. I mean, that's just the beginning of the problems with that game. Easily one of the worst games of the year. I do feel like maybe if I had played that King Kong game, that I may have chosen that instead. Unfortunately, I never played it. I just laughed at it. So my pick for the worst game that I played in 2023 is The Lord of the Rings Gollum. Next up, yet another fun category, is called A Game We Didn't Get. And generally how this works is, this is a game that most other people love and are gushing all over.
Vivendi.
R.I.P. This is a game generally that most other people are gushing over and really love, but we are kind of like, I don't really like it. I don't really understand why everyone else likes it. Matt, what's your pick for a game you didn't get?
The game I didn't get is the current new hotness of all of gaming, especially in the Twitch space. It's a game called Lethal Company.
I had never even heard of this game, Matt.
This is the cutting edge of what. This is the new Among Us. This is the new hotness. This is what everybody's playing.
This is what my nieces and nephews are going to be talking about next week.
Yes, it is an online multiplayer, like kind of an extraction shooter in a way. But you're basically going to a asteroid or an alien planet or whatever, and they're all procedurally generated or whatever, and you have to go collect things, and there's weird monsters attacking you, and the monsters are like a guy with a spring for a head and like some bunch of polygons that doesn't really look so. I
mean, this game looks busted.
Oh, it's terrible. But like, but people play this game and get super invested, and when things happen, people scream and like.
Oh, it's a streamer game.
Sort of, but there's you're trying like there's like one guy is you're usually in like a control room trying to tell the others what to do. It has to have voice chat. You're telling the others what to do, and it's like in Aliens where you're watching where the one Gorman is watching everybody die on the monitors, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so, but like. And every clip I've seen of this game, I don't understand anything in it. And like, there's one thing, it's like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen happen to me in a video game. And it's like this clip of something on the, and I'm like, not only do I not think that's scary, I don't fucking understand what I'm looking
at. What is it?
Like, I don't.
That sounds
get
like
it.
Roblox, man. Like my nieces and nephews, like I'm like, show me what you're doing on Roblox. Because I just don't really know what's up with that game. And they show me, and I'm like, why?
I've seen a clip where the bobblehead spring guy comes down at a guy on a stairwell while they're trying to do something, and he starts crying. And I don't
That's
think
kind of awesome, actually.
I don't think... I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yes.
Like, I don't... Like, it's just... So,
There's only one trailer for the game that exists in the world. There's one trailer for it.
Yeah,
and you just saw it.
it just doesn't. I mean, there's thousands of Twitch clips and like weird things.
Wow.
If you look for it on Twitter, you'll see all these like.
So it's kind of like the next Five Nights at Freddy's,
right? But like you see all these highlights. But at least like when I watch Five Nights at Freddy's or like Fortnite or Among Us or the clips of that, I understood what I was seeing and why people were reacting to it.
Yeah.
This is like it's like if a game could be in a foreign language visually. like literally whatever's happening on the screen is not translating in my brain into whatever these people playing it are seeing. It's like the thing in the Matrix where Cypher can see the woman in the red dress through the code. Yeah. I'm like, nah, I don't know.
That's Roblox for me. Like I look at what my nieces and nephews are playing. I'm like, what is that? They're like, well, can't you see? It's like this sheep who's trying to sell cars. I'm like, what? No, I don't. I don't see that at all. Like,
oh, of course. Yes. So yeah, I don't know. So, but I'm telling you, this is like next year. Lethal Company is going to be like the new PUBG.
Really?
Like this, I'm giving you the heads up on this.
I mean, my nieces and nephews will give me the heads up in a week when I'm home for the holidays, guaranteed. That's a good pick. My pick for the game that
I admit that might just be me being old, but I don't understand.
It's the game you didn't get. Absolutely. The game that I didn't get from 2023 is Armored Core 6. I'm very thankful that all the other critics in the industry loved it and gave it an 8.6 for my video game fantasy team. I have no idea how they gave that game the scores that they gave it.
Yeah, like, I mean, I did really enjoy this game, but those review scores are a little bonkers to me.
Like, this game to me is like...
It's just Armored Core.
Its average should be like a 7. Like, maybe. It's like an 8.7 Metacritic average. Like,
that's... I mean, I could go 7.5 to 8 in there somewhere. It's one of the better Armored Core games.
Yeah.
But it's just... I'm... On part of me, it's like... Where the fuck were you 10, 15 years ago when this series was getting 60s and 50s?
It's also not lost on me that I almost always pick a From Software game in this category.
Yeah, that's true.
My runner-up was Alan Wake 2. But I could see some parts of Alan Wake 2 why they would appeal to somebody to the level that it's been praised.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2
I struggled to find that with Armored Core 6.
Alan Wake 2 would be there, and that. I mean, also like Baldur's Gate 3 is probably
for you. It probably would be a good pick.
Like,
yeah,
I mean, but I didn't really take that very seriously because I do understand why
some people.
I do get it.
Yeah,
it just didn't work for me.
Right, it makes a difference.
Lethal Company. I don't even have a fucking theory on that shit. This is I mean, I didn't think of it until I saw you picked it, but I'm like, like the reception to this almost felt like people were just too afraid to give a From Software game a low rating.
Yeah, not even just a low rating, but anything but like exceptional. Look,
because I did like it a lot, but it's like, especially it's hard to describe. It's just sort of like, even though I liked it a lot as an Armored Core fan, it's not my favorite Armored Core game for sure. But I look at a lot of that, I'm just like, really?
I had fun with it for a day. I had fun with it for a day.
But reading those reviews is weird to me because I'm like,
you are definitely gleaning something from this game that I am not.
I'm not. Or like, I'm as a fan of this series from probably before you were born, reviewer.
It's like,
I don't understand quite what you're getting out of this.
I mean, I get a lot of that from Tears of the Kingdom too. When you read something from someone who loves that game, and you start reading it, and they start talking about how I've played it for 300 hours, and then I just enjoyed walking around in the field. It's like, no, dude. Nobody enjoys just walking around in the frickin' fields at 8 frames per second. It's like, you have jumped the shark, dude. You have gone to some other place that most normal people can no longer relate to.
But that's also exactly what I'm talking about, where I'm like, you have to acknowledge at some point that some things you like are just because of how you like them and have nothing to do with the thing. Like, like the Equilibrium thing. Like, it's a trashy movie, but I love it anyway.
Yeah.
But that's on me.
Yeah.
It's not, that doesn't argue for like some kind of magical missing quality of equilibrium that no one else can see but me. It just means that I like this trashy thing.
Yeah.
If you like wandering around an empty fucking field at low frame rates, you do you.
Exactly.
But don't fucking try to tell me that it's some awesome, great transcendent gaming experience, because I did that too and I was bored out of my goddamn mind.
I think my biggest gripe with this game was that it just lacked any kind of personality. It just felt like a blank slate, let's fight mechs game.
Yeah, it was. I was a little surprised. I wouldn't say disappointed, because it sort of did. I guess it was what I expected. But I was a little surprised they didn't sort of I don't know,
gussy it up a little bit.
The presentation a little bit. You know, give it some cutscenes. Give it some
personality.
Put some faces on it. You know?
Oh my God, no. Only in the briefing screens do you see a face.
And even then, most of those are like in-universe CG-generated masks and stuff. Like, it was just a little odd.
Yep. So there you go. Those are our picks for games we didn't get. Matt's pick is Lethal Company, and my pick is Armored Core 6. Up next, no more fun and games. All serious categories from here on out, and here's one of the biggest ones I know you guys kind of look at every year in our Game of the Year awards. It's one of the bigger ones we give away. It is best platform. Basically the best console, PC, VR, HMD, whatever.
Let's not get crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That ruled the roost in 2023.
Stadia.
One thing I'll say, Matt, is it seems like this is an easy category every year. Like, I very rarely have to struggle to choose the winner because everything is kind of cyclical. It feels like one platform will have a great year and the other two not so much. And then one of the other ones will come.
I mean, we rarely actually pick the same thing.
Really?
I picked PC a couple times when you went.
I thought we almost always agreed on these.
No, I don't think so.
Huh? I thought for sure that was the case. But regardless,
I think last year we did.
Regardless, this year was easy as shit. Like, I literally had to think about this for like 5 seconds, and we both.
This was not an issue.
We both shared the same winner. The platform of the year for 2023 is the Nintendo Switch. I don't know how you could argue otherwise.
I mean, you could argue PC just because PC's so versatile.
That would be my runner-up.
Yeah, but it's not really, and really, and a lot of years I would pick PC just because of that. But this year, just Nintendo outperformed the other two so hard in terms of consistency and getting product out the door and keep making sure there was something only on the platform to play every quarter, every couple of months, every once in a while.
Like a banger every quarter.
Like, you combine PlayStation and Xbox, and they don't add up to what the Switch pulled off this year in that regard. And I wasn't even into a lot of it because I'm not usually a Switch player.
Yeah.
But like, it's not. You can't. There's no comparison.
I mean, they had a Game of the Year contender pretty much every quarter.
Almost every quarter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen very often anymore. Like, it's just amazing.
You had a Mario game, you had a Zelda game, you had a Metroid remaster, you had a Fire Emblem game, you had a Pikmin game. Like, it's like, what else do you have? You had the best 2D Mario game maybe ever. F-Zero game.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, I didn't like it, but like, that was an F-Zero game.
I mean, you also had maybe the best 2D Mario game ever. I mean, it just pile on the pile. Like, the Switch software this year was incredible. Like, literally easily the best platform to own if you like to play games. It had the best exclusives. It also did a little better with third parties this year, although a lot of those games ended up being trash. But it got Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah. Like, I mean, it did, though.
It did get a version of Mortal Kombat 1.
But it also did get Hogwarts Legacy, and that port's actually pretty damn good. Like, that one has not been terrible like a lot of the other ones. So, to me, it was just clear as day. The Switch just had an amazing 2023. And I'll be honest with you, 2024 might be just as good for Nintendo. I mean, the first half of the year is already loaded up pretty good for Switch.
Yeah. Well, partly because we don't know anything about release dates.
And then we don't know what's after. Yeah, but we
don't even know the beginning of the year for Sony and Microsoft.
No.
Like, we got Helldivers.
Yep. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was going to save this for the end, but like, I kind of looked ahead to 2024, and I was kind of surprised, man, that there weren't more good games. Like, the industry definitely shot its shot in 2023.
Well, we got a bunch of stuff that got delayed because of the pandemic this year, and we got the stuff that was originally scheduled for this year all at once.
Yeah.
And next year we're kind of going back to business as usual.
Yeah, or even a little maybe the other direction, honestly.
Maybe. Like, because like if the stuff that had been pushed back and delayed that ended up this year had come out when it was supposed to, those teams would be putting something out next year.
You're right. Yep.
So we might have a real drought year overall next year, except for Nintendo.
Yeah, I think 2024 might be the year where we're really stung by COVID, honestly.
Yeah,
I think this is where a lot of those games should be coming out.
That's where the repercussions are going to happen.
Yep.
And like, I think you're gonna next year. I think your best bets are a Switch and a keen awareness of independent games on PC.
Yeah,
like these are your weapons next year, because that doesn't look like anything's getting much better for Sony and Xbox anytime soon.
Yeah. How about Nintendo?
Maybe the second half of the year.
Yeah.
But
how about Nintendo though, Matt? 6 years on to Switch, and it wins Platform of the Year. 6 years into its cycle. That's amazing. Because you look at PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4, the first-party stuff had already started drying up for PlayStation 5 development way before the 6-year mark. So, Kudos to Nintendo again. Nintendo only having to make games for one platform has been a game changer. It doesn't have to worry about, oh, we have the 3DS and we have the Wii U. Oh, we have the GameCube and the GBA. No, all its forces are now just concentrated on that one focal point, and it has been a game changer. And this year was incredible for Switch. To me, it just blew the doors off of every other platform. I hear you, PC would be my runner-up, but PC didn't have a whole lot of exclusive games this year.
PC never does, really.
And a lot of the ports coming from the console side ended up being busted, and so that's kind of where I drew the line between PC and Switch.
PC is sort of like a fallback if you just didn't, if nothing else really sang to you that year. You know, because PC is always sort of at the same level that because of the nature of the platform.
It wins when the consoles have really bad years usually.
And even when it's doesn't have a lot of exclusive PC only stuff, everything generally looks better on that, or runs better usually, unless you're talking about Jedi Survivor. And so there's that. You know, it's sort of a good fallback.
Yeah. We got to pick it up, actually. I just checked the time. We got to get going. All right. We are now moving into our categories where we have a runner-up and a winner. And we have 1, 2, 4 of those. First up, best graphics. Never more important than it is now with the new consoles hitting their stride. Matt, what's your runner-up for the best graphics of 2023?
Runner-up is Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty.
Yep.
Which, A, was an expansion pack, and B, completely overhauled how the visuals worked in the game overall, so I thought it counted.
Yep.
It definitely looks different after that expansion.
Yep, for sure. And unfortunately, I forgot to load B-roll for that, which sucks because it's best graphics, the one category you really need to see the games, and I don't have B-roll of Phantom Liberty, unfortunately. My runner-up for best graphics is Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I talked a little bit about it earlier, about the art style. One thing I try to do with these awards, if I can, because we get a runner-up and a winner for best graphics, is I try to pick one for its art style and the art side of it, and then another for just its technical horsepower, so to speak. And this year's pick for the arty side of it is Super Mario Brothers Wonder. If you really pay attention to what's going on in that game, the animation as like things transform and the world transforms, they're all polygonal, by the way. Almost everything in that game is built out of polygon. So they're having to animate all that stuff. It is a technical marvel. It is probably
whatever anti-aliasing they're putting on that.
It's incredible.
Like you don't see a jagged line anywhere.
You would never know that game's running on Switch ever. Like it is the perfect like combination of art and tech.
I wish the 3D ones looked like that.
Yep.
I mean, I know there's no way to. I mean, you could probably do it on a 4090 or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's incredible. So that to me, on the arty side of things, Super Mario Brothers Wonder was the best looking game of 2023. And then the winner for best graphics of 2023, we both agree on this one. It is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. We just talked about this in the last episode of GameFace, where I declared that it was probably the best looking game I'd ever seen with my own eyes. Somebody tried to call me out saying I say that all the time, which was wrong, but it is. I think it is the best looking game that I've ever seen, Matt.
Yeah. And continuing to play it.
So when we finished the show on Tuesday, I went down and I checked out the game on Matt's PC.
With full unobtainium settings on.
Holy crap. Wow. I wish we had got our B-roll from your rig. I mean, it looks great on PS5, don't get me wrong. Our B-roll looks stunning, but
there's just a little extra oomph on that PC.
Man, just incredible.
It just, there's moments where you just stop and you're like, holy crap. It's almost the same. It's the same feeling you get when you see a sunrise when you're hiking or
That's
something.
That's a good point.
It's like, what the hell? Like, and I think, I could kind of flip a coin between this and Cyberpunk a lot of the time. I think part of it just which aesthetic appeals to you more, either the nature aesthetic or the Cyberpunk, ultra urban aesthetic. But what ends up giving Avatar the edge for me is there is a little bit of pop in and pop up in the when you're riding the Ikron, the Banshee.
There is a little bit. There's LOD issues too.
Yeah, there's some LOD, but it's a lot less than there is of the same issues when you're driving a car on the freeway in the Badlands in Cyberpunk.
Yep.
So Avatar just sort of holds it all together a little more.
I mean, the one thing I would say that does kind of give me a little bit of a pause with this game is that it does look samey. I mentioned this when we reviewed it on GameFace, that like there's 3 major biomes in the game, and you spend a lot of time in each biome. And it does start to get a little repetitive over time after you get to like hour 8 in that biome or whatever. But still,
But then you'll turn around and the light will hit through some trees at the right angle, and you're like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
It's remarkable.
It really is. And this B-roll is all PlayStation 5 that we're seeing here.
It looks real good on the consoles, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this engine scales very, very well. What's encouraging to me, too, is that this is Ubisoft's engine. We are going to be seeing games built in this engine for a long, long time to come. That's real time, people. That is a real... It's just crazy what games are doing.
And this is massive entertainment. They're making Star Wars Outlaws. So
yeah.
If Star Wars Outlaws looks even half this good, that'll be the best looking Star Wars game ever made.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's great because part of that game from that trailer seems to be exploring the different planets and going, and like that's great.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
Just the detail in the clothing and the moving parts on all the clothes and everything. That's going to be super cool.
Just look at the foliage and how it's all lit and it's all casting shadows.
Look at the bowstring bouncing independently of the bow. The detail is incredible. And some of that's just Cameron being Cameron. He's like, nope, needs to look better. Go back to it.
I wish the game played as well as it looks. It's not a bad game, but
it is just Far Cry Pandora.
Yeah,
Avatar Cry, but like, which is fine. Like I am still playing it. I enjoy it because I like Far Cry and it's something to do.
Yep.
It's a good podcast game if you're just doing like open world stuff, flying around, picking up the various things. I don't like the harvesting.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say is like, I didn't think this was a tough pick. It is, to me, the best looking game. But I did consider Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty because in a lot of cases, there's a lot more going on in that world.
Yeah.
Versus this game. Like in this, it's like you're in nature, there's trees and everything's blowing in the breeze, but there's no human beings. There's not a lot of high poly stuff like moving and animating.
But every once in a while you get one of those big Vista things and there's the RDA choppers moving
flying
through.
Like 5 miles away.
Everything, all the herds of creatures are moving down below. It's just like it's all there.
It's pretty amazing. It's really good. It really is a technical marvel. And I'm glad that Ubisoft has an engine that is primed for the future.
Yeah, Snowdrop I think has been slept on a little bit, judging by this.
Hell yeah. That's a friggin' stunner. So there you go. Our winner for Best Graphics of 2023, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. Next up, Most Innovative. And this can be anything. It can be a game. It can be just like a mechanic inside a game. It can be a person or anything related to games that we found innovative. We have a runner-up for this, and we have a winner. And both of us have the same runner-up. Mm-hmm. And it was hard to not give this one the winner, honestly.
Yeah,
and
I thought about it.
I did too. It was really close. And it is The Making of Karateka, which, if you guys remember, it's like a playable documentary. And we talked about it when we covered it on the show, that this is a template that can be used over and over and over again. And sure enough, just like a week and a half ago, we found out that there is another game that is getting this very same treatment.
Yeah. And this is apparently kind of an iteration on how the same team did the 50th anniversary Atari collection. Mm-hmm. That has a lot of the same.
It is kind of similar
stuff in it. But this is notable in that it's one game. It's the history of one game and one man, and kind of the how that all developed. And it has all these like. This is the most complete history of a single game I think I've ever seen. Yeah,
and it's all in an interactive and fun. I mean, this could transcend games and just be a new way to do documentaries, where you interact with the documentary instead of just sitting there passively watching it. So this is to me could be a paradigm shift for all entertainment, not just games, but for our purposes, it's a huge paradigm shift for games, and we're going to see this type of stuff, I think, until the day I die. So. A big part of measuring innovation is how often is it going to be duplicated in the future. I feel like this is going to be duplicated pretty consistently going forward.
And the team, clearly, this is what they're going to be doing, is that's been so successful for them. So I can't wait to see what their next thing is. Please do Wings of Fury.
Yeah.
I love that game on the Apple IIe.
Yep. And then, Matt, what is your winner for Most Innovative of 2023?
My winner is Tears of the Kingdom.
Let me make sure I have good B-roll for this, because there's a very specific thing that you're looking for here when you talk about the innovation, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the building system, which I don't actually like very much.
Oh, really?
It's not what I want from a Zelda game. I think it short circuits the design of what Zelda should be. I really dislike a lot of it. However, it is one of the most impressive technical achievements of the year. The fact that they took all this stuff and you can put it all together and make it all work in these weird, predictable and unpredictable ways.
Yeah, the unpredictable part is really the crazy part.
And I have never... I mean, I played this game for about 80 hours, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw any of it glitch.
No,
it didn't
never
click through shit.
Nope.
It didn't break apart randomly
like it should. It never did anything it shouldn't do.
Everything interacted with itself the way you'd expect it to and the way it's intended to. Like, I cannot think of a system like this that is this clean.
I don't think any other developer would ever do this either.
Yeah, especially not out of the gate. Like, like maybe you could argue that like Minecraft has like more variety in certain things or whatever, but Minecraft has that variety after like 12 years.
But here's what I like about Tears of the Kingdom is you don't have to build the fan piece.
No.
In Minecraft, you have to build everything and then snap all the parts together. In this, they build the parts and you just do the snapping.
Yeah.
And that, to me, as an adult, is vastly superior.
Yeah, and there is an element, I do like the idea of all these different pieces and you can figure out how they go together and what they can do and then like the weird things you can do with them that maybe they weren't meant to do or like they weren't the original thing you'd think of to do with it. Like, that's cool. But again, it's just not what I want from a Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I don't recognize the absurd achievement that is, I mean... People complained about the delays and the extra year they took and stuff, but like it was clearly time well spent because this is one of the most flawless things I've ever seen in terms of how that all works together. Like,
it's incredible. Yeah,
like there's nothing to compare to it.
And again, only Nintendo would do it.
Yeah, only. And I have.
No one else is going to work that hard on something like that.
Every developer and programmer friend I have was looking at the clips of this game and be like, I've never seen anything like.
Well, yeah.
Like, I don't even know where you begin doing it so clean. So, and like just the momentum of things, like things where it's like the way the like you build the big monster truck thing and it rolls through the lava while being pulled by a rope, and then something on top of it is also moving because it's being pulled on top.
The physics are all there,
and you're pushing the thing on top. And the guy's like, there's like 14 different physics systems happening in one thing here. Like your brain is just seeing that as one movement.
Yeah,
but there's all these things working together, and they're not.
It's not fake.
It's real. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Again, only Nintendo would ever do it. Most studios would be like, it's not worth the effort.
It's not just the innovation of like being able to put all these things in there to kind of create puzzles and create like situations and toys out of them. It's also just it's an innovation to say we're going to do that and we're going to do it flawless.
Yeah,
we're going to do it without any kind of
pushing the
immersion breaking or problems or things where you have to work around. Like it just doesn't happen in that game, and that's amazing.
I mean, there probably should be games that are just that. Like Nintendo should probably just put out a game that like just lets you build stuff without all the other stuff around it.
Make normal Zeldas.
Yeah, the text there. Yeah.
Because I mean, I know they've talked about they talked about how like in those interviews recently where Aonuma was basically like, we're
sticking with the open world.
We're sticking with the open world, but like we may not do the building stuff the same way. They should probably just take that. You could make an entire different IP out of that.
We'll see it again. I mean, we've been seeing like the fluid tech from Super Mario Sunshine for like the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll definitely see it as part of things.
Yeah.
Like I could definitely see like even if you made a traditional Zelda, I don't think you'd be able to resist the temptation of having like at least a couple of dungeons be like build
stuff to get through it. Yeah. Yep. Good pick. My pick as winner for the most innovative thing from 2023 is the PlayStation Accessibility Controller. Now, just the idea of an accessibility controller is actually still kind of innovative. There aren't a lot of them, although Microsoft certainly was well ahead of the curve on this stuff. And you guys may remember, I've told this story before. I have one of my very best friends, who is also one of my very best gaming friends when I lived in Philadelphia. In his 30s, he had 6 strokes. And he is disabled. And he told me, I just talked to him like a year ago or whatever, and he told me that the thing he misses more than anything from his prior life is being able to play video games. Which is kind of sad in some ways, but also invigorating. And when I saw this for the first time, and I told him about the Xbox controller a long time ago, and he ended up messaging me and saying, yeah, that doesn't really work for me. Maybe something eventually will come along. And then the PlayStation Accessibility Controller showed up. And what the key to it is how it's modular, and you can change it and adjust it based upon what your disability is. Like my buddy, he's had a stroke, and so he's controlling things with his hands is tough. Like one of his hands is kind of gripped permanently, and like one of his arms, like he can't extend as far. So he needs to be able to adjust like the distance between the stick and the buttons. And PlayStation's controller allows you to do that. And I just, just the modular nature of it is going to make it so much more accessible to so many more people with disabilities. It's opening the door for gameplay for people who maybe thought they'd never, ever be able to play video games again. That, to me, is just like almost like a gift from God. So I love... just first of all, that a big thing from this year, Matt, was accessibility across the industry in general. Trying to make games playable and enjoyable for everybody. That is just a noble pursuit in general. And to see it come through in all the R&D money that PlayStation has to spend to build something like this and then ultimately release it, it just warms my heart. I hope that they keep pushing in this area so they can come up with controllers that are even better for people with that are disabled, and more people can enjoy the hobby that we love more than any other. So big props to PlayStation, props to Xbox at first because they did it first, but then PlayStation took the ball and ran with it. So my pick for most innovative of 2023 is the PlayStation Access controller. All right, we're heading down the home stretch. Our next award isn't really an award at all. It's our most anticipated game of 2024. And once again, we have runners-up and winners for this. Matt, what is your runner-up for most anticipated game of 2024?
Well, it's kind of slim pickings because we don't know a lot about next year.
This is how I started realizing that, like, next year isn't, like, that amazing. I started looking for, like, my most anticipated games, and I was like...
I think there will be plenty of stuff. We just don't know about them yet.
You think?
Yes.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
A lot of it might be loaded in the back part of the year.
Yeah. But. And your pick is, for your runner-up...
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yep. Which isn't a bad pick. It's not like I'm saying, like, in another year it wouldn't be Dragon's Dogma 2 or anything like that, but...
I mean, it probably would still be mine.
Yeah.
Because I like the first one a lot.
Yep.
And this definitely looks like more of the same, which I don't have a problem with, but I imagine when this comes out, there's going to be people complaining that it still feels janky and weird.
Yeah.
I could make an argument that I don't know if a game that isn't janky and weird is Dragon's Dogma. It's almost part of its identity at this point. But yeah, I'm looking for... I never thought we would get another one of these. The first one wasn't exactly setting the sales charts on fire at the time. I mean, that game came out, what, 10-something years ago?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
It was, yep.
And I only found out about it because I was reading like impressions online like 3 days before it came out, where people were talking about how cool it was at night. It was actually dark and you had to wander around with a lantern and find your way. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. So I got it and I really loved it. And the Dark Arisen version is even better.
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm very happy we're getting more of this. Looking forward to it. I'm happy it's coming out way sooner than I thought it was.
Yep. Okay, my pick, my runner-up for most anticipated game of 2024 might surprise you guys because it's not my winner. And that is Star Wars Outlaws. Open world, action RPG, set in the Star Wars universe. Looks absolutely incredible, both visually and gameplay-wise. Kind of the game I've been waiting almost my whole life for, it almost feels like. It was very hard for me to not...
Only she had a lightsaber.
Yeah. It was very hard for me to not place this at first, but I think you'll see when you hear my pick, sort of the angle that I went with my winner. I don't know that I need to talk this up. I think everybody is...
Yeah.
Probably looks at this as the game that they can't wait to play for next year.
My only thing is I'm not 100% certain this is coming out next year.
I'm a little worried it'll be delayed too. Yeah. But as of right now, it is scheduled for next year, and so it's totally fair game to pick this. And Matt, we might as well just move on to your winner here because
which is
your winner for most anticipated is Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah. And I think
surprising nobody.
I think if you polled most players, it would probably be the winner.
Yeah.
As far as like what's the game most people cannot wait to play next year, I think most people are going to say it's this one. So because it just is the game that we've all been waiting to play for way too long. It shouldn't have taken this long to get this game, but it has. But now it's coming, and we can all rejoice as Star Wars fans.
You license it to EA, you're going to lose 7 to 8 years. So
yeah. And then my winner for most anticipated whatever for 2023 is a Switch 2. And whatever launch software it has. I'm assuming Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I mean, I would also like to play Metroid Prime 4. I couldn't put this in just because there's nothing to look forward to yet. Because we don't.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the hardware, like more than any game. Like, Yeah, new Nintendo hardware, that's the big freaking deal, man. Like,
oh, no, not for me.
Well, not for you, because they have the hybrid thing going on right now, but there is a chance that it's not even a hybrid. Like, you don't know 100% yet.
I mean, that would be...
I think we'd be really surprised.
Surprising.
But you just never know. It's Nintendo. They're like... I never get as excited for hardware announcements as I do for Nintendo's hardware announcements, because I know what the PlayStation 6 is going to be.
Right, but
I know what the next Xbox is going to be.
I kind of prefer that, though.
I mean, you ultimately prefer the end result. But
right.
As far as the anticipation and trying to figure out what it is, like, I don't think there's any comparison between the three. Like,
I mean, to you, it's exciting anticipation. To me, it's like, what bullshit are they going to put in this thing not to work around to get a decent gaming experience out of it? And to the Switch's credit, that's probably the least I've had to work around something since the Wii came out.
Yeah. And I just think about the launch software, Mario Kart 9, Metroid Prime 4, like... There's going to be some, like, 3D... There should be a 3D Mario there at launch.
It is time.
I mean, to me, Switch 2 launch, easily the most anticipated thing of 2024 for me. So, now you see why. Most anticipated game? Definitely Star Wars Outlaws. Most anticipated thing? Switch 2 for me. All right. And we've reached the zenith of the show. It is time for us to announce our Game of the Year for 2023. This is another category where we have a runner-up and a winner. Matt, I have to admit, I was really surprised by your runner-up for Game of the Year. What is it?
It is Everspace 2.
Everspace 2.
Making another appearance.
Yeah, I was surprised in a year with so many amazing games that this was your runner-up.
Yeah, I mean, I really looked at like my playtime on things and things that I remembered best and things that I was willing to go back to and go back to again should DLC or something come out. And Everspace 2 just pulled me in more than just about anything else except maybe Starfield, but this delivered on the thing I care about in terms of a space game way more than Starfield did. Starfield has the exploration and the scanning and all that, but there's a point at which you could just imagine Starfield just takes place on one planet. Mm-hmm. That is impossible in this game. The ships and the dogfighting and the explosions and the astronomy elements and flying through crazy nebulas and ice asteroid fields and all that. I think that is what this game is.
Yep.
And it's the closest thing to recapturing that sort of old TIE fighter wing commander thing that exists right now. And I'm including Star Citizen in that because that's not an actual game.
Fair enough.
Maybe once they put a flight model in it, we'll talk about it. But that's about 3 years late, right?
Yeah.
This was a great surprise. I also didn't expect it to be... I didn't expect to like this as much as I did because I didn't like Everspace 1 that much because it was very much like a roguelike sort of Dark Souls in space thing. Like to the point that if you died, you respawned and went to go get your stuff back.
From like a bonfire or something?
No, from like where you died. It was the same thing. It was I think it might have even been procedurally generated. But
trying to find that out in space, that's a pain in the ass.
That was not a lot of fun. But this is a handcrafted RPG. It's a little more like what I wish Rebel Galaxy had become.
Yeah.
Which I only learned this year that the guy who made that has retired from video games.
Wow.
Like the Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, he supported for like 2 years and he doesn't do that anymore. No. And that's too bad, but I understand. I mean, he's been in the business since Diablo 1 or something.
Time to hang him up.
This was a great surprise and a great it's just a great game.
Yeah.
And I think it's on PC and PlayStation and Xbox. If you have any patience for dogfighting or space stuff, give it a shot because it's gorgeous and it delivers.
Okay.
The story's not bad either. They put a lot of thought into the world, more thought than they really needed to, and I appreciate that.
Okay. My runner-up for Game of the Year, this was the hardest decision of these entire awards. There were literally like 5 games that I considered for runner-up. I finally called that down to 2. And those 2 games were Resident Evil 4 Remake and Marvel Spider-Man 2. And so I mentioned earlier when I gave Resident Evil 4 the nod for Best Action Adventure over Marvel Spider-Man 2 that I felt a little weird but still okay doing that for a genre award. But things may be a little bit different when I talk about something like Game of the Year, and that's exactly what happened. I just couldn't give a remake a Game of the Year nod. I just couldn't. Because even though it is drastically changed, there was still the core, the base of the game was there. And I just want to reward new products when it comes to Game of the Year awards. And so my runner-up for Game of the Year is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. It may be like the perfect action adventure. I loved everything about it. I loved every minute of it. I even thought that it was the perfect length. Like, I just had started to get a couple inklings in my mind that I was starting to get a little bit tired of it, and it ended. Like, it just... They nailed it. Like, you can see that this is the third game in a series that Insomniac has gotten better and better at creating. It has sort of finally figured it out and created the ultimate Spider-Man and superhero game. And Matt, maybe this is a nice segue to transition over to your actual Game of the Year winner, which is
Spider-Man
Marvel
2.
Spider-Man 2. Yep.
I pretty much agree with all that. I think maybe we could have used one fewer Venom fight near the end.
Yeah. So you thought the Venom stuff outwore its welcome.
Just in terms of, like, it felt like doing the same thing 3 times to beat him in each form, and they I mean, you fight him like I think 5 or 6 separate ways, and at a certain point
It's
I'm
an
like,
epic
okay,
final boss battle.
Yeah, okay. He's got wings now. Can we move on, please?
Yeah.
Like, it was like it a little much, but like. And part of that's just me being like, Venom used to be my favorite comic book villain, like, period. Yeah. I think a lot of the more recent stuff with the King in Black thing and the way the direction they've gone with the symbiotes is mostly sort of dumb. Yeah. And this game does incorporate some of that by the end, and I still think it's dumb.
Yeah. But still.
But the fights are good. It's just, to me, the fall of Otto Octavius was a much more compelling overall story. This is still great. But all the most memorable moments of Spider-Man 1 for me are that last act of Otto breaking everybody out of the raft and all that shit going down, and the conflict with Silver Sable getting in your way while you're trying to stop. Like, all that tension was great. And in this, it's just not quite the same. And all my most tangible memories in this game are the side quests, like we talked about before.
Yeah, because they're amazing.
It's bizarre to me that people hate the side quests. I see that all the time. People say the side quests suck.
I think a certain kind of person is going to say the side quests suck.
Maybe younger people don't get as much out of it. Like, there's maybe a little more self-reflection in the side quests of this game than you might expect from superheroes in their early to mid-20s. Yeah. Because this game is mostly made by people in their 40s.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I never really thought about that. Yeah, but like, in my 20s, I wasn't very self-reflective at all.
No, not at all. You got all the time in the world. Why would you think about dying?
Right. Yeah.
But like, this is, and I one of the things I do love about this, and this is good B-roll for it, is the camaraderie between Peter and Miles. And kind of running into him and the other
finishing missions with them,
or the random crimes, and you can do a little fist bump and hug with him. It's their relationship is great, and of course they play that up because you have to break that relationship once he's in the black suit and becomes a dick about it. But like, overall, like, there's nothing really else like
it's really hard to find any weaknesses, man. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I really struggled to find any criticisms of this game.
Yeah, I guess if I had to, I didn't really like the Mysteriums very much.
All right.
They're just sort of fight challenges, and that wasn't super interesting to me. But even then, the person who has to play those are Miles, and Miles is the most interesting character to play fights with, so they even got that right in that regard. But I will admit that I 100%ed the first 2 games. I did not 100% this because I got tired of playing the Mysteriums.
Interesting.
So there's my one criticism of this game.
I have none. I loved it from beginning to end.
But bring on the DLC, whatever it is.
Yep. Well, they just delayed the Game Plus till next year.
Yeah, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, whatever.
It's a little. I mean,
I have plenty of other stuff to play.
Right. It's a little. I guess it is a little weird. You don't have the time of day control from the first game from launch. But people are really complaining about like New Game Plus not being at launch. I'm like, first off, no one has New Game Plus at launch because you don't need New Game Plus at launch.
You need to play the
game first. But also, the first game didn't get New Game Plus until the first DLC pack.
Right.
So
we're actually getting it earlier this time.
Yeah, this is faster.
Yep. All right, well, it's my turn to share my game of the year for 2023. My guess is you've probably already figured it out by now because I've talked about it several times and given it other awards. My game of the year for 2023 is Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know if I need to flog the dead horse again and explain why this game is so incredible.
Don't flog the Astarion.
Yeah, flog the Astarion.
He's more than flogged at this point.
Personally, this took me back to my childhood in so many ways. I can't tell you how many memories came rushing back in my mind while playing this, just at the most unexpected moments. I love the cast of the game. I love how I never knew what was going to happen. I loved how I could try stuff and it always worked. Like, it seemed like anything I came up with and I gave it a whirl, like it would work at least a little bit. And there just aren't enough games like that are so freeform that you can play them exactly how you want them. And ultimately experience the story that you want to experience as well. It's just great from top to bottom. I also struggle to find any faults with this game at all, honestly. It's just kind of peerless and incredible and long and valuable and everything I look for from video games. So Baldur's Gate 3 is my game of the year for 2023. Congratulations, Sound Wizard. I know this isn't as as big a deal as seeing all the people go across the stage at Jeff Keighley's big thing, but if they were here, we'd let them talk for as long as they want. Exactly. I would let you give your acceptance speech here on Sifted, that's for sure. But for me, Baldur's Gate 3, Game of the Year for 2023. And being that I come from game trailers, we do have one more fun category, and that is the best trailer of the year. I do this every year. I'm usually the only one that does it. Matt, your pick was the Star Wars Outlaws trailer. Mm-hmm. My pick, it has to be Grand Theft Auto 6. It just has to be. It's the most watched game trailer in the history of video game trailers. And while I don't think it's necessarily the best trailer, bottom line is there's never been a trailer that mattered more than that one. And so for me, it's Grand Theft Auto 6. Artistically, some other trailers that really caught my eye. Last Sentinel, which was just shown at the Game Awards. It's that crazy trailer where the person comes in on the motorcycle, wipes out all the enemies. Her helmet comes off. It's a female ninja. Yeah. That trailer.
I like that, but I can't give trailer of the year to a CG trailer ever again.
Yeah.
I can't. It has to be in-engine.
Yeah.
Which
all the
others are.
I gave it to Grand Theft Auto.
GTA is very much in-engine.
Still a great trailer, though, Last Sentinel. And then my other runner-up is a game called Baby Steps. Do you remember that trailer? It's like
the guy has to
can't walk
right. Yeah. He's walking along the.
And the reason I picked that one is because it's funny, and there aren't enough funny trailers anymore, Matt. Like, everything is just so deathly serious anymore. Like, nobody will take the piss out of their own game anymore, and that's why I love Baby Steps.
The worst trailers to me are these days are always the game as a service with a bunch of guys in exosuits with a very dire mission they must complete.
Yeah,
and you have no idea what you're looking at. It's like this could be one of 40 games, and you don't know what you're looking at. Like that Exo verse. Yeah. What are you?
Exactly. So anyway, there you go. Those are all our awards. This is our last stream of 2023, and so we are going to do a little bit of Q&A with you guys, even though we're already way over time. But before we do that, here's a word from our sponsor, SoundWizardry.com. Experience the realm of extraordinary audio with Sound Wizardry. With a decade-long journey in sound design, we animate your movies and video games with the breath of sound. Our wide-ranging services include sound design, Foley, sound mixing and mastering, audio implementation, dialogue mastering, and the crafting of unique sound effects from freshly recorded material. Our portfolio contains Baldur's Gate 3, Steven Universe, Alan Wake 2, Gwent, Cyberpunk 2077, and more. Visit soundwizardry.com and let us transmute your vision into an auditory marvel. Again, I just want to really thank all our sponsors and SoundWizardry.com for sponsoring us GameFace throughout the year. It has made a big, big difference for us. They're a great partner. They're awesome people. They're obviously amazing at what they do. They did the sound design and a lot of sound work on my game of the year, Baldur's Gate 3. They worked on at least 2 Game of the Year candidates from this year. Go to soundwizardry.com for any of your sound needs, literally anything they will help you with. They have helped us. I've had borked audio from Pactor Factor they've worked on. I've had borked audio from GameFace, 3 hours long, that they've worked on. They've taken out the hiss, taken out echoes. They can do pretty much anything. If you have any project that you're working on that has any sound related issues at all, check out soundwizardry.com. A great partner, very talented, and we're very thankful for their sponsorship. All right. We're way over time, but we're going to answer some questions, damn it, because again, this is it. This is the last time we're going to see you guys until 2024. Let's answer a couple, Matt. Derek D says, Happy holidays. Remember your Twitch Prime people. I do. I've called out all of them.
No, I think he's telling people to remember to subscribe.
Oh,
Twitch
gotcha,
Prime.
gotcha. You guys know I appreciate every single one of you guys that are doing Twitch Prime, man. I really, really do. Rock and Roll 458. What is a game considered obscure, even among the hardcore gaming community, that you most enjoy?
I mean, Everspace 2's got to be.
I mean, Matt, you definitely follow. There you go. He just gave 2 awards to Everspace 2, including his runner-up for Game of the Year. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good one right there. I think, Matt, in general, you gravitate to some games that are in your wheelhouse. It may not be in a lot of other people's wheelhouses. I think that's one of the things that makes the show great. I tend to stay more in like the mainstream. I resonate with a lot of the stuff that a lot of other people do. You tend to find hidden gems that a lot of people haven't latched onto. I think it's a strength of our show for sure. Cinetig, best in word, and I'm sorry how Pactor pronounces your name every time. It's become funny at this point, so I just let him do it.
What does he say?
Cinetic. He does it like 4 different ways. He can never get it right. Sorry, I lost your question now. Best and worst trends in gaming this year. For me, best trend was accessibility. I just talked about it.
Yeah, accessibility is good. Also, the slow death of the game as a service.
Yep, like that's a good trend. Yeah. What about bad things from this year?
I mean, constant layoffs and not acknowledging the problem that is causing that.
Well, the other thing, too, you guys may not have realized it, but if you sift it every day, you know.
Like, it's a record year for, like, review scores and revenues, but thousands of people lost their job.
Not only that, Matt, hardware sales were down 24% year over year in November. That is a huge freaking red flag. Huge. 3rd year of these consoles in November.
And the first year they were, like, really readily
You couldn't
available.
even get them? That is bad. That sent up a huge red flag for me. I was like, oh shit, man. That is bad. That is a bad trend. People are not buying hardware. With no hardware, you can't buy the software. Like,
although I admit, like, the hardware sales are up there to the point that, like, you're kind of hitting the top, the plateau at this point. Because so many, I think a lot of people bought the new hardware sooner than they normally would have because of the pandemic.
I'm sure, because they were trapped at home, and and a lot of people had.
That was the perfect time to throw a PS5 at people.
They had time to try and find it
if you could get one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. So there you go.
But part of that might just be your, to the point of like, what were you buying? If you hadn't already bought a PlayStation or Xbox, why would you have been convinced to buy one this November?
Yeah,
there's nothing new to really do that.
Yep. Zabumafu with the Crack Bros, one of our patrons. Thank you for all your support. We appreciate it very much. Why do you guys place a heavy emphasis on storage space in the age of terabyte download speeds? Because that has to go somewhere.
Yeah, you got to put it somewhere.
you got to put that store. You have to store the media somewhere.
Most people don't have terabyte download speeds. Like, it's still
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you live in Europe, but dude, I live in West LA, and I don't have no damn terabyte download speeds. I don't even have like a megabit. Like, I pay for it, but I don't get it, and I definitely don't get the upload speeds that I'm paying for. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, like, I have fast internet, but it doesn't mean I want to sit there and wait for God of War Ragnarok to re-download again.
And then the other thing too is that we're different from you guys. Like, you guys buy like one game a month, maybe, and sure, you play that game, you finish it, you delete it, and then you download your next game. We don't. It's like we are constantly playing like 5 or 6 games at a time. And I'll be honest with you, the new Call of Duty is like 220 gigs already, Matt. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
That's nuts.
It is freaking nuts. That's why we complain. And to your point, you're right. We probably shouldn't talk about it as much because it doesn't affect you guys like it affects us. So point taken. Esmont, do you think the Steelers should fire Mike Tomlin? No, but I do think that his ass should be on the hot seat, and I do think that when he hires his new offensive coordinator, he needs to hire somebody outside of the organization. One more. Have you or are you interested in checking out the God of War Valhalla DLC? I have not checked it out, but I am absolutely interested in checking it out.
The problem is I haven't finished Ragnarok, so I guess I got to do that first.
Do you have to finish it to play it?
No, I mean, unless you want to know the ending.
Oh, right.
It follows directly off the ending.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And apparently it's a lot more robust than they indicated.
What the mode is?
The story. The story. There's an actual real bit of story, and all, like it's a whole thing.
No.
Like it's a most of that reviews, but people I saw that were talking about it online, and the people I know were saying like they could have charged for this.
No.
This is meaty enough.
I feel like PlayStation's DLC in general, that's kind of been the case. It's like really high quality stuff that they're giving for free.
It's a bunch of new voice work from Christopher Judge and I don't remember the guy who voices Mimir, but like there's a lot in there.
Okay.
And it's kind of a journey through the enemies of the old God of Wars, and like it's a whole thing.
Okay, we'll give it a go. That's our last question, but before we go, it is the holiday season, and Matt is one of my very best friends and an awesome guy and very generous to let us do GameFace here in his home, and so I have bought him a present for Christmas.
Thank you.
That I hope that you'll like. If you want to open it up here on camera, that'd be cool.
The bow and everything.
I don't do that. That wasn't me. That's the wifey. So if you can't open it, that's also not my fault.
I mean, it is very secure.
Yeah. She put a candy cane in there, too.
There it goes.
What could it be?
It's probably internal storage. It is.
Yep.
A WD Black 1 terabyte.
Yep. For your Xbox Series X.
Very nice.
Now, Matt, I got you the PlayStation one last year, which you have yet to install.
I have yet to install.
And I just want to let you know, it is very easy.
Yeah, this one you just put in.
This one is really easy.
There's a slot.
You literally just shove it into the slot in the back, and you instantly have like double the storage on your Xbox. So Matt is a very hard person to buy stuff for. Obviously, he has pretty much everything that he wants. If I can find something that he doesn't have that I can get him, I'm going to jump on it. So I figured that might be something good for you. Plus, your Xbox is your daily driver. So I figured the storage might make a bigger impact for you there.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for everything. So that's it for 2023 from SIFTD. We gave you guys everything we had. This episode is 3 hours and 20 minutes long, but it is our last time streaming to you guys and being with you guys before we take the break, and so it's worth it to spend a little bit of extra time. Keep your eyes peeled on our Twitter feed at SIFTD Games on Twitter. That way you'll know when we'll be back to do another show. Don't forget that there are changes coming to GameFace and some other stuff that we're doing in 2024, and we're going to need a little bit of time to do that. So it could be a case where GameFace doesn't kick off right to begin the year, like the first couple days of January or whatever. But again, we'll be messaging all that for you guys so you know exactly what's going on. If you're on the site, you'll see it all. But if you don't go to the site, again, make sure you follow us on Twitter at SIFTD Games. And this is it. This is the end of the year. If you've been listening to the show on podcast services or watching it on YouTube, and you've been enjoying the show and you want to help us out, head to patreon.com/SIFTD. You can pledge there whatever you want. If you don't want to get hooked into another subscription system and you just want to maybe give us a chunk of money to thank us for 2023, go to siftd.net/donate. You can plug in any amount you want there. You can pay with a credit card in 130 countries. You can pay with PayPal, whatever you want to do. We'd appreciate it very, very much. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for everything. Everyone in our chat right now, you guys have been incredible all year long, making GameFace better. There's no doubt about it. Thanks to our sponsors, Ellis Cream, SoundWizardry.com, DeShazer Ryan Realty made a big difference for us this year. All of them, they're awesome. Thank you. Congratulations to Sound Wizard for winning Game of the Year. Thanks to Matt. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks to all our patrons who have been, plunking in their money every month to make sure that this keeps happening. I could just go on and on. I owe so many people so many thanks. You guys are all incredible, and I love you all, and I actually absolutely mean that. Matt, anything you want to say before we depart for the year?
Go see Godzilla -1 before it leaves theaters.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us. Thanks for checking out our Game of the Year awards here at siftd.net. It's been a great 2023. A lot of that is thanks to you, but 2024 is going to be even better, and we'll see you soon. Peace, guys.